Good morning and welcome to Teatro Capitólio Day 3. Now please welcome to the stage your MC and host for this morning, Alevtina Yakovenko.
Hello. This is our day 3 and the final one of the Breakpoint 2022. So far we had so many amazing presentations and talks. I've seen lots of wonderful projects. News are rolling one after another. I hope you've seen quite a bunch of them on Twitter, or ideally have been present at the presentations where they've been announced. As well as the vibes in the community are just fantastic. I could not be more happy with the state that we are at. Before we jump into the content for this stage today, I wanted to bring your attention to your email boxes, where you should have received an email with a day 2 overview and a little recap, as well as the details about where and when we invite you for today's closing celebration. So please make sure to check out your latest emails if you haven't yet. And today we're gonna focus in this morning more on the gaming directions. Solana Games Kit is a collection of tools and instruments that empower game developers to accelerate the development of amazing Web3 games. Today, I invite you to dive into the vision of Play+Own, as well as see what the tools are right for you in our next panel with wonderful guests, Chen, CEO of Genopets, Parra, founder and CEO of Ludex, Manny Lora, business development at Conditional Labs, Weston Ruths, product manager at Pragma Platform, and moderator Matt Sorg, head of Solana ecosystem engineering at Solana Foundation. Please welcome our wonderful guests.
So if Games Day, as you can see all the games still up, if Games Day was showing off games and that real games are coming to Web3, this talk is really about why Web3. You know, what does digital ownership mean? Why are we all here, as opposed to, you know, going through the existing channels and existing game designs? So maybe I just want to set the stage real quick and just to kind of go down the line here. Please introduce yourself. We have a really good panel of diverse perspectives on this topic.
Cool. So thanks, Matt. I'm Diego, founder of Ludex GG. We're essentially a dev toolkit helping game developers develop on-chain with the least amount of friction as possible. So we basically try to bridge the innovation and what we're going to discuss in this panel today, the new things that you can do on blockchain, and easily implement that into your game development process. So that's us. Thank you.
Again, thank you for doing this. I'm Manny Lora, BD at Cardinal Labs. We are a Solana-based protocol that enables conditional ownership of NFTs, primarily through staking, rentals, ticketing, vesting, royalties enforcement, and a little bit more. So we'll get into that soon.
Hey everyone, I'm Albert. I'm one of the founders of Genopets. It's a mobile game built on Solana that encourages people to live an active lifestyle. A Genopet is an NFT that you can grow, customize, as you live a more and more active and healthier lifestyle.
Hi, good morning. I'm Weston. I'm a product manager at Pragma Platform, and Pragma Platform is a back-end game engine. And so what that means is we have a core feature set around live service and multiplayer games, and we help kind of abstract away the complexity around back-end systems so that it's very easy for you and your team to implement it. And that encompasses everything from player data to monetization, to telemetry, to game loop. And at the end of the day, our engine is very customizable, so we're never a roadblock for you, and you can integrate all the features and customization that you want.
Yeah, great. So we all have our, I can tell it's different parts of the stack. So I kind of want to just, set the stage a little bit and just kind of say personally, why Web3? Like, why are you sitting here as opposed to anywhere else? And I'll just give my little background. I actually got into it just because of the frictionless nature across region. I was working at Riot. This is 2017, and we were having problems even with payments in some regions and connecting players in different different religions. In fact, there are entirely different databases on the background for many of the regions. And this is Riot scale, Riot level of resources and things. And so I was like, well, if this is a problem for this it's got to be an enormous problem for everybody else. And it's evolved significantly since then, actually. But that was kind of the initial point I got into it. But so just kind of love hear how you guys all have thought about this journey.
Yeah, sure. I'll start first. I've been a gamer actually my whole life. I think not many know this about our team because we sit at a protocol level, but we do have a pretty big gaming background. And for me, it's the obvious, right? Like if we're playing WoW for thousands of hours, like how do we not own anything and have to go to a black market to do some of these trades, right? So ownership for me was always big. I was also big in the CSGO scene. A lot of you are familiar with skins and then Ethereum and how that started. So yeah, for me, it was a natural fit. I saw what was needed. I saw the vision of what this could look like, what a true ownership marketplace could look like, if I could sell my assets, if I could rent out my assets, how I can monetize some things, and all of that was extremely intriguing to not just me, but the team. And yeah, a year later, we have some of the bigger marketplaces, platforms where people can facilitate trades and rent on. So yeah, pretty bullish on the space overall.
I guess I'll go next. I'm really excited in the Web3 space because of the interesting model that it creates. The ability to own your assets creates the ability for your players to monetize in different ways and for them to really bootstrap and become the supply side of the economy, which creates this network effect where more supply begets more demand, and so on and so forth. And there's a lot of really interesting things you can do with the permissionless aspect of it, that once you put it out there, there are people in the community that will build on top of it and create different use cases that you can't even think of yourself. So that's why I'm excited for this space.
Yeah, and so from Pragma's perspective, we have the pleasure of being able to work with a wide array of different game developers. We kind of started off in the Web 2 space, but more and more we're seeing a lot of traction, a lot of excitement around Web 3 games, and the developers are there, they're actively building, and it's cool to even see developers moving from Web 2 to Web 3, seeing all these benefits that we just talked about, and they want to integrate that into their games.
Yeah, and actually, a little bit to Albert's point, in my case, I had 2 startups before working on Ludex, and I got to appreciate enormously in businesses when I saw aligned incentives between the business provider, right, and the consumer. And in games, the business provider being the game developer and the consumer being the gamer, right? And I saw how you could perceive some level of friction in aligned incentives in the Web 2 space. And as I started to understand better what the Web3 space meant and what owning your assets meant, it started to draft a picture of a very interesting position where you can now kind of get access to better revenue streams, I guess, as a game developer, but that was completely aligned with the incentives and the advantages of the gamer themselves. And I think Albert is a perfect example of why he's building a game in Web3 at the moment, and even to the point of this panel of the empowerment of the developers. So not only is it a real good advantage for the gamer, but I was impressed to see how well alignment there was between also the people that are building the games behind and how they can sort of build something good and still provide an amazing added value to their users. So that's really what got me in.
Yeah, great. This has satisfied my intended goal of everybody talking about slightly different versions of ownership and their place into it. So I think a lot of the discourse, especially outside of this exact room, is a lot about marketplaces and how do you create less and less frictions toward liquidity. But everybody here mentioned something at least one other piece on top of this, and I think that's what I want to begin this discussion today. Is we talked about renting a little bit. We talked about putting something up for a wager. We talked about being able to have control of your assets and the really evolution of business models. So can we kind of I think I want to set the stage of what does ownership mean to you? In the physical world, I don't rent a lawnmower, I buy it so I can soup it up and do stupid stuff with it, right? So what is what does that mean in the digital world? And it's more than just being able to trade, I guess, is kind of the idea. So I don't know, open panel, but
Yeah. All right. So I guess I'll start again too. In the topic of renting, so I guess it doesn't apply to you, Matt, right? But yeah, for us it was how can we continue to monetize even though we have a ton of these NFTs. So for example, if I'm a huge holder of Genopets or some of their land and plots, like what do I do for the ones that I'm not using, right? And like even if I'm not a gamer that I want to play 24/7, I still want to invest in the project. I see their vision. How can I still monetize in a way where I have control of my assets, but if I'm not using it, why not one of them, right? And fun fact, our biggest client, our most popular collection on our marketplace is a game. So it's actually pretty fitting. Mini Royale, and how they do it is, it's a first-person based shooter, but essentially there's skins, there's guns that you could use for quests and different lines in the game where if you don't have that, you can't proceed, right? So for them is like, well, I finished the quest, let me put this up for rent, maybe, I don't know, 0.1 SOL per day, and with our time-based expiry and some of our protocols we've built, it can go to someone, they could use it for the 2 days, finish the quest, and it automatically gets returned to me, the owner, right? So over time, I just leave a bunch of these assets that I hold, and over time, I just make some sort of income, right? Great for guilds, great for treasuries that hold a lot of assets, and another way to monetize, but at the same time, still rewarding creators with royalties as well, too. So yeah, pretty unique vision, but I think the only one currently on Solana.
Yeah, so what's really cool about this, like I think the key distinction that like kind of light bulb goes off is that he's talking about developing a core metagame system for a different game. He has right access to the ownership, and he's giving players permissionless right access to an entirely different game that neither the player or him really helped develop directly. And that's a really powerful concept. Yeah, that's a great example.
And to add on there, I think the concept of ownership also helps in terms of portability from the game, like the user and the gamer, between games. You know, just the fact that you can, you know, have access to game A, invest a lot of time in it, and at some point, if you want to, you know, move into a different game, now you can go on these open marketplaces, you know, list your NFT, and then, you know, go purchase another one to get access to a new game. And we're already seeing this sort of like dynamic, which wasn't, you know, it didn't exist in the Web 2 space. So you're already sort of creating a more unified front between different games just because you're introducing this concept of ownership. So I believe in that sense, you know, the gamer is well more rewarded, and I think everyone in this crowd is already at a point where they understand that ownership provides that level of value, if anything, through, you know, portability of your investment from one game to another. And then with mechanisms such as renting and whatnot, you can now build more quote-unquote complexified mechanisms to even extract more value out of that. Like not even selling my NFT to go buy another one to get into another game, but, you know, like renting it out so that I can start playing other games. And so that's a huge win for ownership on the web.
Yeah, so for me, what's interesting is that the name of this talk is Play and Own, right? I think this is a new meta that's been talked about a lot after Play to Earn and Play and Earn. And for me, I think it's these are all pillars of what Web3 gaming is. For me, Web3 gaming, Play to Earn, was the first part of it, which is token emissions-based gameplay, where your gameplay earns you tokens. But the next part of it is what can you do with these tokens? And Play and Own, to me, and ownership in general, is owning assets that you can improve, customize, so on and so forth, in the game. And a lot of times that being on chain. So at Genopets, you know, the Genopet that you own can be customized and can level up. And also the places that they live in, which we call habitats, these are NFTs that are unique, and also they have levels, they have harvesting abilities. And these are things that we are already implementing the leveling aspects of it, everything on chain. And for our own habitats, we actually have our own rental system on top of it that's very game specific, and that's all happening on chain. And that's what's really exciting about what we can do here.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, I agree with what you said, Albert, and I think kind of adding on to that, I mean, the translation of those bits and bytes that are on the blockchain and translating those into a meaningful gameplay element and a meaningful item that game devs and players can really get excited about. That visceral connection, I think, is really paramount to making this ownership piece feel real and making it feel like it's real value add and aligns with not only the value, like the monetary value of it, but like the visceral, like, wow, I've got a cool flame sword and I own that forever, and that's on the blockchain. And like being able to have that kind of emotional and like memory kind of associative pattern, I think really will amplify this ownership piece.
Yeah. So a lot of what we think about internally is slow databases. And I know it's like, why are you talking about your constraint? But when you think about your constraint, it forces you to understand why you're doing the next, like why you are using that as opposed to just some internal database that is completely controlled by you. So I guess I would like to hear your perspective of what do you put on chain? What data? When? Why? Like, do you have any sort of frameworks of what to put on chain or how to like necessarily interact with it, and when?
Yeah, I mean, I think this kind of goes into the point I was trying to make is that I think, at the end of the day, we need to make really strategic decisions about what goes on chain, right? Like, I mean, absolutely, I mean, maybe this is a bit of a hot take, but I mean, absolutely, we would love to have everything like on chain. There's a lot of value to that. There's like this kind of dream vision that everything is decentralized, but like.
I want my headshot recorded tick by tick on every server tick, exactly how I 360 note.
Right, yeah, but I mean, at the end of the day, right? Like I think what's most important is like put the things on chain that are cool, right? Like put the things on the chain that you appreciate and value, and I think there's going to be a blended approach. And I mean, even at like Pragma, what we see is that there's kind of this like Web 2.5 for the first iteration, and maybe I want my flame sword on the chain, but I don't really care about my ammo or my health or like food or whatever. Like that's not the stuff that gets me excited about having stuff on chain, and so I think that's really where we should be putting our value.
Yeah, for me, it goes back to what problem that blockchain was supposed to solve. And for me, then that's double spend and financial transactions on chain. So for me and for us at GenoPets, we have a clear separation of what data is on chain and what data is in our proprietary database. And everything that touches financial transactions and financial value goes on chain. And that's why our Habitat NFTs and all their metadata and attributes are all on chain for that very reason, because they are the main source of token emission and token transactions.
Yeah, I think having that ability to facilitate some stuff on chain, but then still reference some data off chain is pretty big, right? Just looking around the room, like even DeFi Land, for example, which we have as a popular collection on our marketplace, like there's some stuff that people actually need, maybe like HP or Life or whatever, that isn't really on chain, that we have to reference off chain. But again, because we're a nimble, mobile, fast, efficient group, we're able to cater to those games as well. So even any customizations that say Albert would want for GenoPets, like we're able to facilitate. But you're right, that combination of being on and off chain is one that I think games have to manage pretty well. And yeah, we're able to facilitate that as well and cater to them. So.
Yeah, and what's cool, I think Albert mentioned it. Bringing in the on-chain concept on video games at some point started on a financial basis, right? And so we're looking at transactions. Blockchain helps, especially on the transactional front. And the cool transition that is happening between Web 2 gaming as they go Web 3 is that what we perceived in the past as normal game actions, so you can imagine like I'm in an open world and there's a sword on the floor, like that flaming sword, that cool one that you mentioned, and I just pick up that sword, right? That in the past was a normal game action, but as we progress into the blockchain space and a blockchain game, that will essentially be a transaction, right? Where it's passing from either an escrow wallet or the gamer wallet or whatever into your wallet, right? So a lot of these normal like in-game actions that we know in the past, equipping an armor, unequipping an armor, changing your skin and whatnot, are now going to become blockchain transactions, right? And so games are going to be this huge sort of ecosystem of microtransactions, 10x, 100x what we used to see in the Web 2 space. because of the ownership aspect, because of the introduction of tokens and whatnot into games. So that, I believe, is extremely interesting to see, because now we need, to make a good, blockchain game, you inevitably are going to need handling, transactions into your game. And this is for normal game actions, as I say, picking up a sword, exchanging an item against another player. So also player-to-player transactions are going to happen on a daily basis, right, at enormous levels and volumes. So that's also extremely interesting to see develop.
Yeah, thanks for the plug to Flyer Dancer with the amount of transaction volume that some of these games like Genopets are going to facilitate over the coming years. Yeah, so you mentioned a lot of different elements there, and especially because we have like Pragma and a few of these like great tools builders, and it's like empowering developers. So where are we now in terms of tooling, and kind of what do we see as the big unlocks that are coming up to make it easier and easier to put all this data and interact with it on chain? Maybe we'll probably start with Pragma.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think, Pragma's whole stake is like there's a million different ways you can interact with the chain, a million different ways you can kind of like represent your inventory. And Pragma's stance is let's make it so it's very easy for you to plug in. If you want to integrate with Ludex and manage your smart contract stuff that way and integrate with Pragma, like you can absolutely do that. I mean, same with Cardinal. Like if you want to have like some sort of renting mechanism, you want to tie that into Pragma, like sure, we'll make that happen. And so really just being able to kind of like ride the wave of being able to be flexible, be adaptable, like the space is constantly changing, and having the adaptability piece, like that's really what we, is kind of our thesis right now, and it's working pretty well. But yeah, I mean, I think overall, like, I think what's really valuable and what you see from just even like all the tools and from what you see on this panel even is that we're at the end of the day, we're abstracting away complexity, right? And I think that abstraction piece will make us more efficient as developers, make us more readily available to kind of add more complexity to our systems, and just even reducing the lines of code that we have to write will be a huge step in the right direction for us to like make Web3 games faster and more efficiently.
I mean, and I think this question hits on the dot, the title of this panel. One of the things that all of us are doing in providing these sort of tools for game developers to easily develop on chain is helping the transition of how early on, I think, in this space, Web3 game developers were a little bit focusing a lot on, okay, let me make my gamer earn money, right? And the hyper focus on that earning aspect. And so the empowerment of developers and us being here and trying to provide as much infrastructure tooling as possible enables the game developer to come back to, I think, the most important piece of making a game, which is let's try to make a fun game. Let's try to make a good game, right? Once you have a good and fun game, then you can very likely implement mechanics with blockchain technology in order to get monetization ongoing and get your users. So now the shift, the core shift that's happening is coming in and trying to make a game for cash, or a game that will make you cash, to going back to, okay, I'm trying to make a fun game. I'm trying to make a good game. And that's, I think, one of the reasons why the gaming industry is the mastodon that it is today, right? I think it's 2.7 billion gamers on the planet, one of the biggest industries as well on the planet. And that came from just making good games. So I believe that we have to do a lot of effort to remake it as easy as it was to make. It's not easy to make a game, so don't quote me on that. But as frictionless as possible to make a game as it was in Web 2, we need to make that happen in Web 3. And that is the importance of investing in sort of infrastructure tooling and whatnot.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's funny because exactly a year ago, Matt and I were on stage at Breakpoint talking about the same thing. But at the time, there weren't any developer tooling for making games. And I think a year later now, we're at a much better place. I think there's like SDKs for Unity. I think a huge part about making games, like Diego said, is you want to focus on making the game fun. But currently, or like at least before, half your time is trying to figure out how to make on-chain transactions work inside your game. And like that's what we spend half our time doing at Genopets as well. And that's why Web3 games take twice as long to build, because not only are you building a traditional game, you're also building, like asset pipelines, key management, all that stuff. And there's tooling now for that. And, like things like Web3 Auth is able to abstract the key management part away from your game so you can focus on building the experience.
Yeah, so I think 2 days ago at the Hacker House, it was funny because one of the games mentioned how they were using Cardinal for one of their land plots, staking, et cetera. So the earn mechanic to then also be on chain is another issue on its own. Like, how can you balance these two things out? And he disguised this staking pool as a land plot where you can send your character on missions, you get rewards, et cetera. So it was a way to have your users earn, but still keep everything on chain. And because we at the protocol level decided to make everything escrowless, non-custodial, and keep it all on chain, it's a perfect solution for games that want to have users earn, but still have fun in the process, still see their characters in their wallet, know that they're out on missions, how much time is left. All that stuff at the protocol level, has taken time to develop, but for us, we enjoy doing that, right? And we heard the feedback from all these games wanting features like this, and yeah, to be able to provide that and then make it seamlessly where a user has no idea what he's doing, right? It's just he's playing the game, he's having fun. In the back end, that's exactly what's going on. So for us, yeah, we continue to build, we continue to facilitate these things, and if games, again, have more feedback or want some protocol, smart contract level stuff they want, yeah, just reach out. We'll continue to build for them.
Great. That's a very natural segue to the next thing I was talking about, is that you start developing these building blocks that people can use in ways that you didn't necessarily intend. They're using that as a game mechanic directly in game. It was supposed to be just kind of like a marketplace, like on top of that. But they're using it actually as like a questing tool in game. They've gamified it. So I think that's one. I guess it's setting the stage here is what are we seeing? Or I guess yeah, even some of the announcements this week. So Metaplex has a composable standard where you can have like an avatar, and they can have sub-items like your gloves attached to that avatar, and they're both considered NFTs, and you can detach and reattach and trade them. Raindrops has a similar protocol, and several others like XNFTs have their own instantiation, and Genopets has like a whole suite of tools that around evolution of the game objects. So that's kind of like where we are today and kind of the exploration of today. And it's my presumption that's going to just like evolve over time. So one, related to that question, I think you're going to get a lot of those things almost for free as long as you expose them as a game developer, and that can start making things easier and easier and easier to like these frictionless monetization tools. So I'm just kind of interested from other people's perspective, like what do you see as kind of the evolution of this as we go? Like what's possible? What's next?
Okay. Well, I think the answer to that, for me, it's primitives, right? I think one of the advantages of open source and Web3 in general is the ability for projects to try to solve a very specific problem that everybody will eventually run into, and then solve it just once. I think that just makes the whole world more efficient. I think with siloed code bases and just like siloed corporations in general, one of the biggest problems is that you have large swaths of humans, talented humans, working on the same problems all over the place.
Yeah. I mean, sorry, this is something I'm just super passionate about, because basically instead of there being like one CEO that's like, we're going to have this division and we're going to have some PM who doesn't care about it at all, but we're going to pay him to do this exact thing. We have a bunch of people who have independently, been entrepreneurial and found their business. I think that's just like a really important Web3 concept.
Oh yeah. So like we're working on tools ourselves that will eventually open source, and I think having everyone commit to that is really important, because once we get to a certain point, then building a Web3 game will be extremely easy. It's just about picking the right tools and just going forward with it. I think we're still early, but that's the
goal.
Future. Yeah, exactly.
I think we can go to a little demo of Ludex right now as we set up an AMA. Okay. I don't know who does that in the crowd, but yeah, how about so one of the things that we've also kind of touched on here is like kind of the cross-platform nature. So yeah, Diego's going to talk through a quick demo here.
Yeah, well, I mean, it kind of goes in segue with what you're saying, right? And so the empowerment, like us building tools and sort of like in parallel getting to build these tools, which is different from the Web 2 sort of approach where you would just get one PM to full force into something they don't fully understand. And now you have people in the trenches, spearheading the necessities of the space. So I wanted to show, we're going to just jump in here, and I think I'm going to click on once more, and it should play. It's a 1 minute long video. This is a Discord like trading demo. So what we're doing essentially here is we're listing an NFT that you have. So you go in and you pick up the token address of your NFT. You just inputs it. It generates this link where you come in as the lister and you put in your NFT, right? So I have this sort of Ludex flame with a green hat, I think it was, and it lists it, right? And so in your Discord community, now people can see the listing and they could start bartering, like, hey, I want this NFT for XX amount of SOL, right? And so as soon as I see a deal that I kind of want, then I go input my command, like / deal for 1 SOL. I think that's what I'm doing there. You have to pick your NFT again because you can make many listings, right? So you have to tell the bot, like, this is the NFT that I want to do a deal for. And then it generates a link automatically that could be clicked by the other party. And then that's it. You effectively just had a sort of in-game transaction. The reason why I wanted to show this is because it kind of, and I think it's going to loop. So let me go back to, like, we don't need to be rewatching the loop necessarily. But the point here is how easy it's become. I think like a year ago, doing something like this was, not maybe near impossible, or it seemed like a very hard thing to achieve, right? And this sort of tools is like, we're going to be open sourcing this, I think, in about a week or so. And don't quote me on that, though, because Julie might get mad, but very, very soon.
Not the CTO.
Yeah, exactly, like, oh, shit, okay. But this sort of tool, and we've shown it there through a Discord, bot. But this is what could be very easily implementable. The same thing is implementable in game. And now you have, a good example of a situation where someone comes in and just purchases your sword, in game rather than, and you can start thinking of like in-game marketplaces and things like that. So. I just wanted to highlight sort of the transition of how now it's become easy, and this could be implementable, in a couple of days theoretically into your game. So you don't have to break your head in the nitty-gritty headaches that is building on chain, basically.
Yeah, and to what Albert's point was, is one team does it, and then everybody can use that same tool optionally. And then
exactly.
This is going to be, like a primitive that Discord, and then, like, I can imagine a world in a couple of years where I log into Discord and I go on the server. I know exactly which channels I go to. I know if I go to certain channels, I know these are all 2,000 MMR clerics. I don't have to go in game and have them hop around and like say they're the voice that they are in game in Discord. I just know who people are across platforms instantly. I can get my pug and I know exactly what their gear score is. I know exactly what they are just because they were able to enter the channel. You can start doing these things just programmatically where it's going to feel like these fluid experiences across platforms and across games. Do we have an AMA set up? Did I cue that properly?
We got a little bit of time.
All right, maybe I'll just do it. Did this spark joy to any of you? Anybody have any closing thoughts?
Obviously, the future is extremely bright, right? Like, all of us are working on pretty innovative solutions, and with all the games out here, I was here for Games Day as well. Like, what a turnout. I saw even professional gamers from the Web 2 world transitioning to Web 3. So what I thought was just the beginning, we always say we're early. Yeah, technically, yes, but wow, the future is bright. I love seeing all these games. And of course, if you want to interact, I'll stick around after, and I'd love to get to know more of you guys for sure.
Yeah, if anybody didn't see the numbers, a single Twitch streamer had 1.5 million views on Solana Games Day the other day. That was just one. And then some of the CSGO pros that were streaming under G2, they had like hundreds of thousands themselves. So
the
numbers are too large for us to count how many people actually viewed into Solana Games Day, but it was great. It was great.
Yeah, and being able to be a part of this ecosystem, being able to be a part of the Solana's Games Kit, like a pitch for the Solana's Game Kit, go check that out. There's a ton of really cool tools on there that are worth checking out, and I just think at the end of the day, there's really cool solutioning happening out there, and us working as a community is going to help us get there to that ideal state faster.
Great. Thank you for being such a great audience and listening to us talk technical things today. So, yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Cool. Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Now we have a little bit more clarity on how to pick the tools and instruments. But when making an important choice on go-to-market strategy, not only the tools and instruments, but also the marketing challenges come to the table. How to build your community and how to keep your players engaged, especially during the hard market times. game builders and Web3 sharing their tips and tricks on how to build your community for the gaming project and keep it sustainable. Today's guests are Arias, the co-founder and CEO of Eternal Dragons, Wright, CEO of Honeyland, Levan Tevdoradze, CTO of Vuori, Niko, Vuori, the founder and CEO of Blockstars, and the moderator of the following panel is Tiffany Dong, manager at Solana Games team at Solana Foundation. Please welcome our wonderful guests.
Hello, hello. Good morning / lunchtime. My name is Tiffany. I'm part of the Solana Foundation, doing mostly game stuff with the games team here. I'd like to just kick this off with some brief intros from all of our lovely panelists in front of me. So please go ahead, Alex.
Hi everyone, my name is Alex Arias. I'm CEO of Eternal Dragons. Eternal Dragons is a fantasy universe where you own dragons and can bring them to one of our games. The first one is an auto chess battle that we just announced in a Games Day now last Friday. We make it available, finally playable. And the next one will be a city building game and then a Forex game. And for background, I'm an entrepreneur. My previous company got acquired by King. I've been in 15 years plus in gaming across King, EA, and Xbox. So really excited about what's happening now with Web3 and looking forward to this discussion today.
My name is Wright. I'm the CEO of Honeyland. We are a play-and-own gaming ecosystem. We call ourselves really Web 2.5 gaming. We're really trying to onboard a number of Web 2 users into the Web 3 ecosystem by making it insanely fun to play and building it on really, really sound tokenomics. So excited to be here.
Hey, I'm Levan, working at Vuori. We are one of the first games to having been launched on Solana with Star Atlas for the OGs that are here. It's also a play-to-own game. We have currently 2 games in production. One called Vuori Tactics, which is a turn-based tactical game that is going to be released publicly at the beginning of next month. And there is another game called Vuori Adventures, which is something like Pokemon, where you will wander in an open world and capture NFTs, which is going to be available next year. And, yeah.
Hey everyone, good morning. Great to be here. My name is Niko Vuori. I'm the founder and CEO of a company called Blockstars, and we also have a game called Blockstars. Blockstars are rock stars on the blockchain, and the game itself is a management simulation game with a music theme. So think giant spreadsheet game under the hood, where you're managing your musicians, the Blockstars, putting together in bands. They have different skills. You level those skills up. And essentially are releasing music that's real music. There will be music NFTs in the game that you can also own. We have obviously ownable NFTs in the Blockstars themselves, venues, things like record labels. We also have a tokenized economy, which is the experiment that we're taking to see what you can do with an open tokenized economy that has fiat on-ramps and off-ramps. We're most decidedly not play to earn, play to own, yes, we can definitely lean into that. But first and foremost, we see ourselves as a gaming company, and we're trying to make a really fun game, and we're using blockchain technologies to spice things up a little bit, but not to create a path to generational wealth, certainly, but not even to generate earnings. We just believe that blockchain technologies offer really interesting options and tools, just like mobile does, just like console does, just like social networks did back in the day, for game developers to make interesting choices and create new and innovative experiences for players.
Thank you, thank you. I just want to give a special shout out to all of you guys here for attending Games Day. You probably might see around the room that some of the games and their posters are still up from Games Day, and really appreciate everyone for coming out to Lisbon and sharing the special moment of games, Breakpoint, Solana, all together with all of us. Now on to kind of more of what the topic of discussion is to be, which is go-to-market strategies. I'd like to ask all of you guys, you've all built very successful kind of like engaged communities within your own projects. Want to kind of understand some of the valuable strategies that you've taken, and also understand some of the, ideas that you've had but didn't really work out or pan out that the way that you expected it to be. So would love to, kick off with, I guess, Niko first, and then we'll go down the line.
Sure, I'll take the community question first, and then what we could have done differently next. On the community side, one of the things, I just alluded to this in my intro here, but we've tried to be really open and honest and transparent with our community about what we're doing. We're not trying to, we don't care about floor price, for example. We say that every single time we do a Discord AMA or a Twitter space, we talk about the fact that we're making a game first and foremost, and that we are experimenting. This is an experiment with new set of technologies that hopefully creates a more fun, a more engaging, a more long-term sustainable experience for players. But we're definitely very clear with our community that this is an experiment and you are part of this journey with us. So that, I think, at least I attribute some of the goodwill that we have with our community and the stickiness that we have with our community to the fact that we've tried to be as open and honest and transparent as we possibly can be. And this, I think all game developers should do this, but in Web 2 and traditional gaming, you oftentimes do build behind closed doors for a really long time. You'll have 12, 18, 24-month dev cycles, and oftentimes the community, i.e. the player ultimately, doesn't really get to be part of that journey. And I think what's exciting for players, and it's exciting for game devs like myself and our team, is to be part of that journey with the player, with the community all along the way. So that's, I think, at least for us, that's the one thing that I point to that we're proud of, that we've, I think, done quite well, and that has allowed our community to form. I think one of the things that I would do differently for sure, and I think a mistake we made early on, was we minted our collection of block stars, our first collection of block stars, on Magic Eden back in February, and that was like peak launchpad time. It was peak degen behavior, if you will, and we kind of got caught up on that a little bit. And we used some of the same tactics for our drop as some of these other PFP collections did. And so we had a white list, we had some grinding going on. And honestly, it felt a little dirty at the time to our team. It wasn't really true to us as who we were. And I think I would definitely do that differently. I would just lean in really much harder into look, we don't have to do things the way others do it. We could do things our way, and I think our community will reward us. So they're kind of two sides of the same coin. One thing we did quite well, and then the other I think we would have done differently for sure.
Yeah, thank you. I think that's definitely a good piece of advice as well, comparing the bear market, which is currently happening, and also the bull run, last February. So I'd love to hear your thoughts as well, Levan.
Yeah, and sorry. Yeah, I think I can also give something that completes what you said, because I'm not in the CEO position. I am more on the tech side, and we all know let's say the usual techniques to build a community. So answer fast to the community, be transparent, etc. But I think there is something that is often overlooked on the technical side, is the path of release of your product and the technology edge you can get in the space. And I say it's very often overlooked, and it's a powerful tool, because I feel this is what can make a difference between your game being a good game and being in the space and having communities, but to being a project that is going outside the mass, that gets noticed. For example, to give really concrete examples, we always try to be the first to use some new technologies, like we were the second to make the NFT meet in the candy machine after the Degen apes, the third to make the IDO. But of course, making a mint a few weeks later or a few months later, or making an IDO later, it still works. But by trying to have this kind of striving to be on the first on this innovation, you can really go from a good project to really stand out among the projects. And I think one error that some builders or some companies can make is to think, okay, we don't have this kind of innovation nowadays in the Solana ecosystem. Sure, we don't have a new candy machine. We have a new candy machine, but we don't have something as innovative as the candy machine or as IDOs, even on Solana, I mean. But we still have new technologies that if you are a CTO or a lead dev or even as a CEO, you can push your company in this direction. For example, when you see something like Backpack, what they are building is really amazing. By being one of the first to be and creating amazing experience on their app store, you can get the same result that Aurora had before with their IDO and their NFT sale, because they have amazing builders. They have a lot of support from FTX and others. There are also Solana Mobile, etc. And what is important there is that to be successful in this strategy, you really need to have a face to be able to iterate fast on your strategy, because you can't just, if you need to stop all your production for months to try a new technology, it's not going to work. And a lot of this innovation will maybe not take off. So you need to definitely strive to be among these innovators if you want to really stand out and attract get this attention for the community to stand out.
Yeah, it completely makes sense. And I think a year ago from today, there wasn't as many on-chain tools and other ecosystem projects that were, building on Solana and heavily integrated in, games and game NFT projects. So I think definitely your perspective is very valuable as well. And definitely want to also give Corey a chance to explain some of your strategies and also your things that you've done with Honeyland.
Sure. So yeah, I think there's two things, clear things that we can attribute a lot of our community success to. The first one was that we minted back in June. We started building community back in March, and the metas were get 200,000 people into your Discord, hand out whitelists, as many as you could, and that was really the meta of the time. And we wanted to completely buck that meta. We said we want to get a curated community into our Discord, one that is a Discord that we want to be a part of, one that we want to hang out at, one that we would love to find community members that were there for the right reasons, not just because they can get a whitelist and potentially flip and take advantage of this really bull market. And so we did little things like when we had other communities reach out to us for collaborations, we'd only hand out whitelists to people who would complete a quiz before they joined our Discord. So they'd have to read our white paper and watch some videos and learn about our project. And so what we found is that it got people into our community that not only knew about our project, but we could generally, when they found out about it, we could get them pretty excited about it. And the conversation that took place in our Discord because of that was totally different than what most Discords were. And so we built a community from day one that wasn't huge, but it was really strong in terms of the conversation and the activity that was taking place. And then the second thing was, if you go back and look at our YouTube channel, over the last 6 months, I've put together 100 different update videos for our community. I put together 2 to 3 times a week, 3 to 7 minute videos that gives our entire community updates on everything that we're working on, good and bad. And so I think those two things, we're a fully doxed team. So we just had this radical transparency and communication. I always say that you can tell how excited somebody is on what they're working on based on the frequency, transparency, and depth of their updates. And we take that as a real challenge to us, that we really want to be frequent, transparent, and deep on the updates that we're providing. And so we started with the really curated community, and then we just continue to communicate really, really radically with them. And then I would say on the things that didn't work, the one thing I think that when I look back, not the one thing, the thing that stands out though is I wasted a lot of time on Twitter Spaces with other communities just because that was like the way to engagement farm and build awareness. And what we found is that tapping into our own community for that kind of awareness and to get more eyeballs on the project was far more valuable than trying to do these AMAs and Twitter Spaces with projects that didn't know anything about us. We didn't know anything about them. It led to some really cool connections as well, so I don't want to totally throw it out, but we found that we were bringing the whole community. We weren't getting a lot out of it, so I thought that was the one thing that, looking back, probably didn't work as well as we would have hoped. So.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And also, like, as you mentioned, transparency, and also Niko as well, like building with, having the idea that like your community is always with you and you're building together with your community. And I think that's very powerful and something that you don't see in Web 2. I'll transition and let Alex speak as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, for us, it was such a journey, honestly. When we got into this, we really didn't know how to build a Web3 game. We had, in fact, a very product-oriented thesis, which was about, better quality for Web3 games, leveraging blockchain, the opportunities. But it was like, okay, we're going to build a product, which hopefully we're going to have people that are going to love it as well. The fact is, we were lucky, and this is one of the things that I think we did right, was to bring people that already comes from the Web3 space. In this case, that we're managing community for Sorare, for example, and they help us, create that initial network. So that's an advice, like bring people with network, because when they're leaders in their community, they will follow and come together. And what we found out is that the community was just so intensively engaged with the game that suddenly our whole thesis was pivoted in a sense that we found ourselves with the community at the center, and we're building a roadmap of content and experiences around the community. So it's really important to strengthen that community. And then we were at the bottom of the market. Well, hopefully it was the bottom of the market for the NFTs, and we had our NFT sales. So we decided to break it up into 10 different batches. And one of the things we learned is that a lot of that engagement in whitelist, as you're saying, that is was the meta at the time, really wasn't valuable for a first mint, which is in this case it wouldn't convert to the levels that we expected, that we wanted. So we have to bring people, in this case, from Ethereum to a project, and we live opsify our NFT sale, which meant that we treated as content drops where we were explaining much more what the content was about. So for example, there were classes of dragon, meet the fighter dragon, meet the tank dragon. This is how you play on the board. So that creates that engagement, and then we use analytics to continue to optimize what is the whitelist for that next batch of owners, because I think there's a matchmaking effectively to make between the community and your project, and you need to believe in the long-term vision of the project, not in the short-term selling of a specific asset. So the more you can invest on finding the right people from the community that believes long-term in your project, the quality of the community became so much more positive and engaged. We end up making our first convention in Berlin, and more than 100 people, show up from all over Europe, with just a week in advance of notice. And it was amazing to see. People drove 23 hours to be there. People slept in their cars. People have their cars full of stickers of the project. And you get to meet in person your community and engage at a much deeper level than you would do on Web 2. So for me, that was really a fundamental change of how you grow and engage your game, because it's not anymore about performance marketing and data and acquisition. This is real people that believe in your project, that want to be part of that, and you engage with them, and you share early the progress of your project, and then you get feedback. That helps make a much better product over time. So it's been an exciting journey, and we're still learning.
Yeah, of course. I definitely remember the Eternal Dragon Cement, because you guys kind of did something that I haven't seen it before, where you do weekly mints up to finalizing and completely minting out. I think I also want to ask you, Alex and Corey, kind of your thoughts on Games Day and these IRL events for building communities. Most of the activity lives on Twitter, Discord, Twitter Spaces, as you guys mentioned. So definitely want to hear your thoughts on how should we approach more of these IRL community building, face-to-face meetings.
Sure. So to continue, what I would say would really change dramatically, I would say, the energy and the engagement in the community is to make it IRL. When we have this first convention and you get to meet people, you get to know who your players are. I mean, just name me one regular Web 2 game that you actually get to hang out with your players. It's just very unusual. But now you're there with them, and you see kind of the full range of ages, from 16-year-old to over 50, and everybody contributed in different ways. And for example, this 16-year-old, he brought his family. And then we stayed in touch now over Discord. And he asked me if he wants to build games. So he asked me what's the right language he should learn to build a game. So I've been helping them. So it creates this type of relationship that is at a whole different level. And since then, we decided to make it global. And we're going to have more and more events, IRL, across the globe in different places, because we have local communities there, and we want to meet them. We want to be with them. We want to listen to them. And that creates trust, which is really important, and communication that really ensures and helps the success of the game.
Yeah, definitely. I think building those connections, especially even on Games Day earlier in the week, meeting you guys all in person and playing your games, I think it's like super empowering and gives your community something very excited to, be looking out for something to do and something to be super engaged with. Corey, I'd like to also hear your thoughts on this as well.
Yeah, we've done a couple of IRL events. I think it's certainly in our roadmap as we launch the game and we build a bigger community and all these sub-DAOs and guilds, and you're going to start to see a lot of other like sub-communities forming within the community. And I think our goal as a project is to facilitate kind of the IRL and out-of-game interaction and communities that can build. And then, when we show up to NFT NYC or these, and, it's our goal that we can always get to see our community and put a face to a screen name or a Discord handle. I love seeing all the partners in the space. I mean, I think that's one of the things that gets overlooked in Solana is how empowering the entire network is, like the entire ecosystem. When I see people like Manny from Cardinal over here and all of our, other partners with Fractal and there's just so many partners that like empower what we do that we're essentially the publisher of the game and the community and all this stuff, but there's so many underlying technologies and partners that power this. And I think that's probably my favorite part of these spaces. Our community is so many, and it's so difficult to get any of our community into Lisbon, Portugal, or New York, or wherever these events are. And so I think longer term, our role in IRL is going to be potentially some major events, but really facilitating smaller pockets of our communities that we can kind of activate them to get together and have smaller IRL meetups. And then, merch is an IRL way that we can start to like put Honeyland in the houses and lives of people IRL. And so we'll constantly be looking for things like that, but certainly trying to build community not just in the game, but outside of the game as well.
Awesome, thank you. I also want to transition this to more of like, when you do build kind of like your community, like Niko and Levan, like want to hear your thoughts on one, you guys have done a pretty successful mint, I think in 2021 or earlier than that. So like, how do you maintain that, community and also making sure that they're still engaged and know what's going on, are still very excited to be working and building together with you? So we'll kick off with Niko.
Sure. This is going to piggyback nicely off what these two gentlemen just talked about. It's not about IRL events, but it's really more about, I think Corey said it, these sub parts of your community. So what I mean by that is, again, we're trying to be very transparent. We have a blog, it's a production blog, and just kind of our thoughts on the things that are going on. We do regular AMAs on a weekly basis. This is all kind of par for the course, and I think not rocket science. But what we've discovered, and Corey, my co-founder, is here, he loves this expression, emergent behavior. And so what we've noticed is this emergent behavior from within the community that we have tried to lean into. So for example, keeping community members engaging other community members. That, I think, is the biggest learning that I've had. I've been making games for a long time now, 15 years, similar to Alex here. I'm sure all of us have collectively made games for a long time, but that's something that I really haven't seen in a way that is as powerful as it is in Web3. So for example, we have this thing called the Blockstars Oracle. It's a website that was built by our community members. What it does, we didn't ask them to do it. We haven't paid them to do it. We didn't even promote them initially. We said, we can't promote you officially because we don't know what goes on under the hood. But over time, we've learned to like trust our community and say, hey, my God, you guys are doing incredible work. The Blockstars Oracle essentially predicts prices and stats. There's another one called the Herald. It's a Discord bot that another group built that essentially does the best deals of the day. We didn't build it, they built it. There's a YouTube show that's hosted by he's an ex-radio host, so he's actually really good. And his friend, K.R. Crinzini show, every time we do a Discord AMA or a Twitter space, they will obviously listen to it, and then they will do, if our Discord space is an hour, or our Twitter space is an hour, they will literally do an hour-and-a-half show, parsing through every announcement that we made. So what I'm trying to say here is those kinds of parts of the sub-community are so powerful, and we initially perhaps didn't really appreciate how powerful they can really be. But when we realized, like, wow, we don't have to do all the work as the developers. Like, sure, of course we have community managers. Of course we do a bunch of work to kind of keep that fire alive. But keeping that fire alive from the mint through the build process, through like, we're not even at V1.0 yet on our project. Keeping that fire alive happens through empowering those community members, and all you really need is a little bit of recognition. A little bit of recognition, a little bit like, you guys are doing an amazing job. Like that oftentimes is all it takes to then fire up other community members who want to be like, this is great. So now we've got a great artist who's creating T-shirts for us, right? And that was something that wasn't happening until he realized that, wow, like these people are getting recognition. We literally have a rocket scientist. I mean, I'm going to stop soon because I literally could go on for quite a while on this because we have so many of these things happening. But we literally have a rocket scientist from NASA who's part of the community, and we're doing generative music, AI music, as part of the game. So they're going to be the music NFTs. And he happens to be passionate about generative AI and music in particular. And so he took it upon himself, reached out to us and said, hey, I've got some ideas for how we can actually move this forward on the roadmap. Can I help you guys? Again, no expectation of payment, no expectation even of recognition in that particular instance. It was more just, I'm so passionate, can I help? And that's something, if there's one thing that I've taken away from this journey, like literally that is it. Like the power of community and empowering individuals who have a certain passion. It's not about like, I need 100,000 people. Like, that's not what it's about. It's about one person getting really fired up about something and really pushing that forward of their own accord and then getting that recognition that they deserve with the rest of the community. So, sorry it's a long answer, but it's a very, very powerful thing that we've experienced as our team.
Yeah. Oh.
No, if I may add real quick to what Niko is saying, I think that what you see in Web3 is that is bigger than gaming. People are there for even more than the game. Community can be a destination. Just being part, the identity of being part of that, it's already rewarding. And I think that's why I'm excited about Web3, because it's going to expand to new segments, what currently we know as gaming. And people are just going to be excited to go to those events, are going to be excited to own. Perhaps other people will be playing with what they own and they're borrowing, but that doesn't matter. It's expanding beyond. It's becoming, again, an identity. So I got really fired up with what you're saying, Niko.
Yeah, for sure. Even want to expand on Niko's point on the kind of like recognition of your community members. I think like in Web 2, that really never happens. You can't really just go up to a big, large games publisher like, hey, like, can I be a part of building, you know, the next Mario Kart? They'll probably be like, no way. But like in Web 3, that's definitely possible. And like, I think it also gives me memories of like when I was a community manager for another Web3 games project. You know, I was like in college, and obviously like a big Web2 games publisher would never just like randomly pull in like some random college person to like help them on like either one, building the game, or, you know, being tied to like understanding some of like, you know, why and reasonings of why should I build a game. So I do think that's very powerful. But yeah, Levani, I also love to hear your thoughts on this topic as well.
Yeah, real quick, because I think you said most of the interesting most of the interesting things. I would add something real quick, is we shouldn't see community retention only as a one-dimensional thing you do like on Discord, on Twitter. Your product can also help on this side, because something that we learned at Aurori, and I think all games should try, and you should never forget, is that making a game is, before everything, trying to understand the behaviors of people and try to play with this behavior. And for example, something that is maybe counterintuitive is, for example, that if you ask your NFT holders if they prefer to get airdrops, for example, or rewards passively, just by holding it, or having to have active action on your product, on your website, on your game, they will always just prefer to get rewards and they do nothing. And for example, something we did at Aurori is always, for each decision, say, okay, which snowball effect you want to produce? And for example, instead of, a concrete example is that instead of giving airdrops to the users, we do expeditions with the NFTs, and we are not the only ones, of course, but you do the expeditions, you have some chance to win some rewards. We now have more than 200,000 expeditions made, and what is interesting in this approach, and I think if you are building a game, you should also try to build this kind of process, is because now you are giving this habit to the user, this behavior to come every day on your website, for example, or on your game, etc., even before your game is finished, because a game is not made in 2 weeks. It takes a lot of time, and even if it's only a few hundred or few thousand, it depends on the scale of your game. The snowball effect here is that when you are going to make an improvement, you can measure instantly. When you are going to release a new product, you can instantly get feedbacks and put it in the hands of your users. So yeah, don't don't get one-dimensional when it comes to retention.
For sure, for sure. As we wrap up, I really want to hear, Corey, your thoughts on just like one piece of advice that you would give the audience today on one, like community building or, you know, having people just be excited for the game and be excited for when the game launches, the testing phase, the new kind of like era and development.
Yeah, I think at a high level, the thing that we've done throughout our project that has really rewarded us is we've really stripped every single meta down and decision down to the ground and tried to rebuild it back up. And if we land in the same place that a meta is today, great. Oftentimes we find that we would, in some way, iterate on that, though, that we'd get a little bit better. We'd make some sort of a tweak and do it differently. And then from time to time, we find that we completely innovate. And this space is so new that metas are very, very young. They're just experiments at their core. And so when it comes to community building, when it comes to launching an alpha or a token or a game or a project, a collection, whatever it is, think differently about this. We're all experimenting in this, but to just follow the metas that are, or the norms, or what other projects are doing today is wildly lazy and won't get us to where we need to be next. And I think there's so much opportunity for breakthrough in this space, and the projects and the teams that really experiment and do things differently and think critically about this and lean on their community and lean on their intelligence as a project and lean on the rest of the ecosystem to build progress are the ones that are going to win in the end. But I would say just challenge metas and rebuild things. Constantly strive to iterate or innovate on just about everything that you're doing. And I think that can set you up in the space pretty well.
Awesome, thank you. And I think that's a wonderful note to end today's discussion on. I'd like to thank Alex, Corey, Levan, and Niko for joining me today on go-to-market strategies in this discussion. Awesome.
I really enjoyed the talk. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. But onboarding users into the game is still not easy. And the team behind Solana Unity SDKs is taking a mobile-first approach in onboarding new users into the Web3 games. In the following talk, the team is gonna cover configuring a wallet, getting a full RPC node coverage, as well as accessing the anchor programs. I am more than excited to invite to the stage to our next speakers, co-founder of Garbles and CEO Andrea Fortugno, and CTO and co-founder of Garbles, Gabriele Picco.
Hey everyone, my name is Andrea and he is Gabriele. We are the co-founder of Garbles and main contributor to the Solana Unity SDK. Now the Solana Unity SDK is an open source set of tools to build Unity-based game and access Solana smoothly within your game. Actually, we started building our own game and we realized that there was no tools to interact seamlessly in a composable way without relying on a third-party API or a third-party infrastructure provider, while at the same time not sacrificing the UX. So we wanted to build a really smooth user experience for our mobile users, while at the same time building a truly composable game. And that's how the SDK got started. Now, as a third-party developer who accesses the SDK, so what you have on your left is the entry point and the only thing that you need to care about when accessing the SDK. That is where the wallet adapters reside and where you can configure the wallet that your users are going to access and use in the game. And it's where the users can sign the transactions that are built in the core, which is where the actual implementation is. That is Solnet backported into Net 2.0, which is the Unity-compatible Solnet, and where we and all the teams that are contributing to the SDK are adding other SDKs, porting other tools, and where you can actually build the transaction. Without further ado, we wanted to show you some test app as well as side-to-side code. So we're running this test app in debug mode. And yeah, As you see, you have different options for logging into this app. I'm going to go with Phantom, just because we're able to see what happened in Phantom as well as in the test app. So on Phantom, let's just double check. I have these two NFT, the Pixel Guild Magician and the Saga launch NFT, which are shown correctly here, as well as the balance. We can do a swap. So let's make sure that the debugger is...
Let me connect the debugger. And Andrea, you can trigger a swap from USDC to Orca. And as we can see here, we got the transaction construction part. So in this case, we are creating an Orca swap transactions. And all you have to do is specify the mint. In this case, it will be the USDC mint, the mint of the token you want to swap. So it's Orca in this case. And then the amount, it's 5 million because USDC have six decimal. So now let's try, I can go more deeply in the transaction building from scratch later on, but let's try first to sign and send the transaction. And one important thing to say is that the sign and send transaction is actually an abstraction on all the wallets and also the platform that we implemented. So basically you will access instance of a wallet independently of how the user log into that wallet. So it's Phantom or in-game wallet or Web3 out or your new Saga mobile. And independently from that, and independently also from the platform you are compiling, let's say WebGL or iOS or Android, you just call the same single instruction, sign and send transaction. So it's cross-platform, cross-wallet. Now let's try to actually send the transaction, and hopefully it will trigger the Phantom approval. Andrea has just approved the transaction. Let's have a quick look at the transaction. It's probably very small, but there are all the transactions that you need for doing the swaps and the signature that Andrea just confirmed from his Phantom address. And hopefully, let's take a look at the transaction results. So it did work, and we also have the signature of the transaction. We can try to look it up in the Explorer. So let me try to copy the signature, and hopefully we will see the transaction there. So here it is, and we just swapped USDC from Orca. And I guess, Andrea, you can show on the Phantom, there will also be a transaction there showing the swap.
Yes, so recent activity, we just swapped 5 USD for Orca token. Yeah, I guess the last thing that I wanted to really stress is that the wallet object can be accessed in the SDK component, so the one that you are interacting with, and it's absolutely up to the developer to set up the wallet that they want the users to use. And then, as Gabriele was mentioning, it's working cross-platform and cross-device. Cool, so that was a transaction in game. Of course, this is a test app, but you can polish the UI the way you want and make your users access the gameplay and access the transaction in a way that makes sense. What's the other kind of really natural interaction that the users might do in a game? That is probably going to be an NFT mint, right? So we also wanted to show you an NFT mint. Now, this is a very early alpha of our game. It's not published yet, but I'm going to probably go with Phantom as well. Oh, sure, I have to switch it back to...
Unfortunately, the game is on DevNet, so I need to switch.
Yeah, it's not released yet. So, all right. Now I am in DevNet. Internet connection. that is unexpected. We log properly the amount of soul, but now we have to wait for the map to loading. Otherwise, we cannot show you the NFT mint. So the game is a game where you can go around and collect trash items and capture them as NFT in your in-game wallet.
Try to restart.
Yeah. Let's see if this works. Oh no, unfortunately it's not loading the map, so we cannot show you the minting of an NFT in-game, which is unfortunate. But maybe we can show you the interaction, which was working kind of an hour ago while the map was loading. So
try to restart. I can show the transaction in the while. So that we just tried like an hour ago, and that's the minting transaction. So you can see on Sol Explorer, if we go inside, and if we look up at the instruction, you will see that for who is familiar with the minting instructions, those are the instructions you have to provide for minting an NFT through a candy machine V2. So the first one will be create account, initialize the mint, create a token account, and then the mint to instruction and mint NFTs. And I can also quickly show the equivalent version of the instruction through the SDK. So if you want to build minting transactions, all you have to do is using the transaction builder, add the instructions that are the same as you see in the Explorer, create, initialize, associated token account, and the mint2, and that's it. Then very similar to a Web3 JS library, you can sign your transaction or using a partial sign. So if you want to have like an authoritative server, you can also send the transaction to your server or send it directly through the games. And that's basically how you can do the mint.
Another thing that we can show is maybe actually how to log in with a different wallet, because so far we only use Phantom. So, for example, if you want your users import a wallet in the game, you can do that. Or another option that is currently supported in the SDK is Web3 Auth. Web3 Auth is an authentication provider that allows your users to log in with a Web2 kind of traditional sign-up method. Let's do. And just by accessing a Google account or Twitter or Discord or any of the Web2 providers that you can configure in the SDK, they are allowed to get a Web3 compatible wallet, which is also non-custodial. So it's really the best of the two worlds, and it's why we started building the SDK in the first place, is allowing your users to access easily into the game, but also being able to interact with on-chain programs. So yeah, that is, for example, so the wallet already had some Sol integrating it, like in the account. Maybe we can show Gabriele sending me some Sol, while I show you the other integration that is available in the SDK. So far we have 2.44 Sol. Gabriele is going to send me some more. But also, we start adding the integration for Ramp. Ramp is a fiat to crypto onboarding service. So if you want your users, again, users that are non-familiar with crypto, to recharge their wallet, to access and start minting NFT or start making transaction, you can do that because Ramp is already supported. Of course, there are other services like Stripes that can do that, and that can also be built directly in the app. So if I refresh, now we have 7.4 Sol. So that was an actual wallet, and Gabriele just sent me some more. So yeah, I think this is pretty much it. I'm sorry that we can't show you the NFT mint, yeah, going back to the slides, the real quick, what the SDK support at the moment is full RPC coverage. You can build a transaction, and the users, depending on the wallet that you configure, can sign and broadcast them on chain, or even with the partial signatory if you want to have a different kind of architecture and prevent users from outside of the game to access a mint. You can partial sign the transaction, send it to the server sign it, and broadcast it on chain. The wallets that are currently supported are an in-game wallet, Web3 auth with Web3 auth authentication and Phantom, and you can already access NFT. There's Metaplex, Solnet Metaplex is ported into the SDK, and we are about to complete the full porting of the Orca SDK. So not only you can do native swaps, but you can also gamify different kind of interactions, such as adding liquidity or collecting fees. And then in the pipeline, we have like really exciting integration coming up, which is Raindrops first and foremost. Raindrops is an open gaming interoperability standard which allow you to interact with on-chain programs to define players, to define items, to define share tournaments. And so once you're able to store the data on-chain, you can really start creating these cross-games experiences, which are going to be really, really cool. And also, there's an ongoing proposal in the Raindrops DAO for a developer fund for the SDK. So if you're a Unity developer that wants to create tools for these and start contributing to this open source set of tools, please reach out to us because there's going to be funds for it. SMS, we talked with the mobile team to add support for the mobile wallet. That, of course, is going to be really interesting. And Backpack is also another interesting integration that we're going to add, not only as a wallet, but also in terms of using, basically, we could build a Unity-based game as XNFT and make it run on their framework, which is super nice. And yeah, like the bottom line, I guess, is really that we started this tool because we couldn't find any tool available for building the kind of experiences that we wanted to build for our users in terms of having the best of the two worlds, user experience, but also composability. Especially on mobiles, the onboarding and the interaction that the user make has to work seamlessly in the gameplay of the game. I use Phantom, and Phantom throw you out of the game. You have to approve the transaction. But with the in-game wallet, you can also auto-approve the transaction, and you can let them interact with an on-chain program without having to actually approve the transaction. So the bottom line is, if you want to contribute to this project, please reach out to us. There's a support channel on our Discord that is specifically dedicated to this thing. I'm not sure why these slides aren't following me, but yeah, this is the QR code. And also, we have just shown you a couple of interaction, but really any Anchor program can be accessed and can be integrated into the SDK. So it's going to be really, really exciting once the users are able to vote on a DAO or access some sort of gamified experiences within a DEX. And all of this stuff can now be built and cooked into your game in a really, really easy and seamless way. And thank you. That was really all.
Thank you.
We are slowly shifting our focus from the gaming content into the NFTs content. Imagine the future where smart contracts help coded temporary access agreements. Think of NFTs for subscription services, tickets, rentals. The next session's gonna cover how NFTs can play the role as it, as well as what are the new use cases available of this on-chain utility assets. Please welcome on stage our two next speakers, co-founder of Conditional, Avinash Jain, and CTO of Conditional Labs, Jeremy Bogle.
Hey everyone, I'm Jeremy. I'm Avi, and along with Spencer, Giannis, and Manny, we are the Cardinal team, and we're here to present the first half of the presentation on our journey here at Cardinal and building on Solana in the NFT space, and the second half addressing a hot ecosystem topic that is creator royalties.
Sweet, let's dive right in. So Cardinal is an NFT utility infrastructure company building protocols and products for the Solana ecosystem. Let's dive into our journey real quick. So we got into the NFT space last fall, like many of you probably did. You know, day trading, DJ apes, looking at Sol analysis every day. The top marketplace at the time was Solana Art. And that led to an explosive NFT ecosystem. $3.6 billion worth of total sales, 22 million NFTs minted. And these are incredible statistics. But fundamentally, when we looked at the space, we thought this wouldn't last. We thought that there are an infinite number of finite collections that one can launch. And each collection dilutes the previous one. So we turned to each other and we asked the question, what's next for NFTs? People always say on Twitter, when utility for an NFT collection project, and that's something that we thought very deeply about. So if you look at the space today, art has been the primary focus. One-for-one art, PFP collections, this entire space driven by art and collectibles. And when we went around Breakpoint and we asked people, why do you believe in NFTs? Where do you think NFTs are going? We got a lot of vague answers. NFTs are inevitable. NFTs are powerful. Everything should be tokenized. And honestly, we didn't get a great answer on where NFTs are headed. But what we've seen so far is that there have been $1 billion+ of value already created on-chain. And much of that has been fueled by new monetization opportunities for creators through art and digital media. And when we look to the future, right now the only utility that you can offer with current NFTs is lifetime access to something. Lifetime. If you own the NFT, you get access to the Discord channel. You get access to a service. But what we've seen, and to build the future, which is potentially NFTs for music, NFTs for tickets, and exploring these different use cases, it's the fundamental fact that access to those items has to be temporary. There's this concept of conditional ownership, where this asset has utility, has use for a specific amount of time or based on monetary value. And I'm going to let Jeremy dive into conditional ownership and what that means for us as Cardinal.
Yep, so like Avi said, to date, many assets on Solana and other blockchains are mostly just art and PFPs, and people struggle to find the real value in those assets. And generally, they just revolve around, I hold this token, I hold it forever, and I trade this token. Our mission here at Cardinal has always been to try to push that further and explore that space beyond just an image on a blockchain and figure out really where the use cases are. And when you think about most items in the real world, they don't actually last forever, and they're much more complex than just a picture. Access to them is permissioned based on various conditions. You conditionally live in your home by paying monthly rent. If you stop paying your rent, you lose access to that home. You redeem your tickets to access an event. While you hold that ticket, you're granted access. Your hotel key similarly unlocks the door to your room while you hold that key. In all of these examples, the ownership of the asset is conditional based on rules set by the asset authority. The problem that we're trying to solve and trying to discover is what types of assets beyond art can actually be represented on-chain in these ways. So I'm going to dive into a diagram, sort of exploring how we're thinking about this and how we've been able to build more use cases in a more composable way. So for those of you familiar, an NFT is just a unique token with some metadata. So we have this diagram here. Currently, metadata exists as a pointer to off-chain storage of image and attributes. So essentially, all the NFT represents is states on a blockchain proving that you own this asset. The way we're thinking about things thus far is that we've created this token wrapper that supplements the existing token, the base NFT that proves ownership, with the ability to attach various plugins to that token that control its entire lifecycle. So through these plugins, we're able to encode more and more complex assets and represent them in ways that is not currently possible with just the base NFT. So what do I mean by a plugin? Well, basically, if we take a look at the examples, if we want to build a subscription and represent it as a token, we need a plugin to track time. If we want a loyalty stamp card, all these are use cases that people talk about. So if we want a loyalty stamp card as a token with a fixed number of usages, we need a counter to track these number of usages. So by controlling transfer, we can plug in things like these invalidators for time and usage, or we can plug in entire marketplace contracts for trading or lending or borrowing. And each of these can be built as separate contracts given Solana's composability model, which is really powerful. And so once we have these plugins built, we can also specify triggers. And triggers that we have built currently are things like release, return, vest. These are things that get triggered when the plugins trigger invalidation. And so you can start to see how given a time plugin with a return trigger, you can build a subscription or a loyalty program. And you can more effectively start to model some more complex assets. So this is obviously a lot of exploration, but where we are today is since deployment, these sets of programs that we described have seen close to 2 million transactions, over 10,000 daily transactions, and 100,000 unique signers. It's integrated across a range of products from borrow lending like Sharky, multi-sig platforms like Squads, vesting, launchpad, tokens, tools, etc., various open source forks of various UIs, and we've even built out a few of our own products to showcase how these programs can be used.
Thanks, Jeremy. So a protocol company is dead on arrival if you don't have distribution. And the way we approached it is let's build the most useful products in the current NFT ecosystem for our community. So the first thing that we built was identity. Identity is a product that exists right now where your wallet address can be represented by your on-chain social identity. So my Twitter can be linked to my wallet, and then across a multitude of dApps and integrations, you can now see your Twitter handle instead of a long, complicated wallet address. And it gives identity to these wallet addresses that we see on-chain. So far, we've had over 20,000 wallets linked across a variety of different identity platforms, including Twitter, GitHub, Discord, and soon Instagram. Another use case that we've seen pop up and more recently is rentals. So rentals, fundamentally, if you have an NFT asset and an owner who can't avail the utility of that asset or simply wants to monetize it but still keep ownership, they can use rentals and actually lend the asset to the renter's wallet. So this is not some escrow-based program where a copy gets minted, the actual NFT gets transferred, and then programmatically revoked from the rentee's wallet back to the original owner. Gaming has seen a very strong use case for rentals. Collections like, or games like Mini Royale have seen over 10,000 rentals on our platform of gamers, players, and asset managers renting assets through our UI and interface. Last but not least, staking. So staking has been a narrative over the past year for NFT collections where they want escrowless on-chain staking for reward distribution, for rewarding longtime holders, and essentially giving back to their community. And so we're proud to say that we have over 170,000 tokens staked via our protocol. And we've worked with some of the best collections in the space, like Catalina Whales, companies like Block Asset, to launch staking for their companies and collections for the community members. The best part about all of this, and something that we've always stood by as Cardinal, is that everything that we've built is open source. So our protocols, our UIs, our documentation. If you're a builder out there and you want to see what's possible with NFTs, what utility narratives that you can drive, all that code and documentation is live on GitHub right now. If you go to github.com/cardinal-labs, it has all the information you're looking for. And if you have any technical questions, definitely join our Discord, and we'd love to answer them for you. So with that said, let's move into today's hot topic, the discussion that's been on everyone's minds for the past couple of months, if not recently weeks, and talk about creator royalties for the Solana NFT ecosystem. But before we do, I just want to give a quick shout out to key partners and players in the space that we're collaborating with, that we're working with, in order to push this narrative forward. Without them, we wouldn't be here today, and we're very fortunate to say that we have buy-in and discussions with Magic Eden, Hyperspace, Exchange Yard, Coral Cube, Backpack, and Metaplex in order to figure out how to solve this issue in the best way possible for the ecosystem. So many users in the ecosystem thought that royalties were simply built in for NFTs. But from a technical understanding, if you look at the code, royalties are simply just a number put on chain. And that's why it came as a surprise when traders naturally moved to lower fees and eventually 0% royalties and 0% fees on trading. And so what essentially happened in this environment, the current hot topic, is that royalties are a social construct. There is no backing from a creator's perspective that royalties will be honored. And if a creator got into this ecosystem thinking that secondary royalties will be honored, I'm going to get a piece of that pie on every single secondary marketplace exchange, those mental models came crashing down. And so where did that lead us to? Well, you see creators losing out on income, but what's actually insane is that this wasn't just a Solana problem. Solana was the first one to discover this, but this has spread to the largest NFT chains across the ecosystem. Marketplaces like Luxor and Ethereum have also gone to 0% royalties. And so from us, from Cardinal Labs, what we really believe is that royalty enforcement should be a feature at the protocol level, an option for creators if that's what they want. And it really comes down to communication and interfaces and explaining to users what they are interacting with. So given how this relates to our existing protocols, we spent a lot of time over the past 3 months thinking about what a solution could look like to solve this problem. And to be completely fair, there's a lot of different ways people are thinking about this. You've seen the utility angle. People are thinking, okay, I can block utility for the NFT, and if you trade on royalties or on marketplaces that skirt royalties, you don't get the utility. Others are like, all right, royalties seem like they can never be honored. Let's build revenue-generating ideas or models that creators can benefit from that aren't royalties. We fundamentally believe that royalties can be an on-chain guarantee, and we're building a solution for that. So today, we're excited to announce a creator standard. We don't think it is the solution, but we're opening discussion in the Solana ecosystem, and we want to get feedback on can this be the narrative that we push forward as an ecosystem for what NFT collections can use. So taking everything into consideration, we wanted a simple and elegant solution. This standard enforces that assets of a collection can only interact with specific programs specified by a creator. And we're essentially giving back power to the creator on how and where their tokens get traded. This doesn't just solve for NFT royalties per se, but it also opens up a plethora of different use cases where creators can choose which programs their tokens are interacting with in both an allow list and deny list configuration. With that said, I'm going to hand it over to Jeremy and have him explain in more detail what we're thinking about.
Yep, before I dive into a diagram to explain some of this, I'm just going to go over some explorations that all have merit here, and I think it's an important place to talk about potential solutions, given that ultimately, what this has made everyone in the space, including ourselves, do is question, what is the point of NFTs, how did we get here, and where do we go? So unfortunately, the reality is that it's very difficult to distinguish sales from transfers, and ultimately, centralized trading solutions can almost always be built unless extensive measures are taken. And it's debatable whether users will ultimately just opt for more centralized solutions, and yeah, that's something that sacrifices decentralization. So that is like a user action there. And ultimately, starting off, we don't believe that this should be all tokens, right? For example, existing master edition tokens is a concept on Solana, and we don't believe fundamentally that master editions should be changed without a user signature. So when those tokens were created, that would break the concept of master editions to change them, because these tokens have basically given the rights to MetaPex to prevent fungibility of this asset. And if we break that right, that fundamentally would harm user perceptions of blockchains and immutable and trustless ledgers. So we sort of view this as a new asset class that we can push forward, and users can opt to migrate, holders can. And ultimately, these tokens, master editions, were meant to be traded everywhere. The new tokens that we're talking about have different rules. So some of the things we've explored in point 3 are token bounce checks via pre and post instructions. So this was a fun exploration where we built out a program that has pre and post checks, the goal being to consider that only transfers that include monetary value of transaction in the same transaction as a transfer as a sale. So what this did was basically require a pre-transfer instruction and a post-transfer instruction to be included in all transactions. This actually saved pre-account balances on-chain in an ephemeral account, and then the post-transaction instruction can read those account balances and compute the difference and check whether royalties are paid. Anyone who knows Solana here knows that the account model for this is extremely complicated, and ultimately, this is skirtable anyways, given more complex transaction processing clients, etc. Another approach that we sort of moved forward with was a single approved transfer authority. So many use cases for NFTs require that token just trades within an ecosystem, and the creator wants to sort of know that ecosystem. And so one option here is a single approved transfer authority. And this was using our token manager protocol we discussed earlier. And there's merits to this solution, but also it feels quite centralized, given only one single transfer authority can control all of transfers. We're going to talk about that more on the next slide, but lastly, the point we wanted to mention was a federated wallet system for transfers. We believe this is fundamentally very complicated, and ultimately, centralized trading solutions can skirt royalties if you are able to transfer to a single wallet, and off-chain solutions can be built. A federated wallet system is a complex way to avoid this, but ultimately, we believe that the UX trade-offs there are very high, and they should be separated from preventing decentralized trading of assets. without royalties. So to go into that, what we're going to talk about is the solution that gives the creator power, where you can sort of give some color here with an NFT, the same diagram we had before with a token account and metadata. We ended up borrowing a lot of the concepts from the existing protocol, the token manager, but ultimately we thought a lighter weight solution should be built and stripped down to solve this simple problem, which is just an allow list and deny list of programs. So as I walk through this diagram, we'll see we can add a rule set to a token. So if we attach this rule set, it contains the allow list and deny list. Once attached, the rule set freezes the token account and controls transfers via specified allow lists and deny lists. So this is basically quite simple, just a list of programs who can or cannot interact with the token. And we believe that when you really think about it, a allow list of all programs is a pretty limiting approach, but ultimately solves the problem that most creators want, which is to be able to have some control over where their assets are traded. From the technical perspective, this simply takes token account A on the left, and all transfers go through a proxy program, and proxies those instructions through to token program or token 22, and includes rule checks based on the rules set by the creator. And so fortunately, this leverages existing battle-tested programs, including token program and Metaplex metadata, and the surface area for this program ends up being extremely small. The main hurdle being that the new interface for transfer is required. So on Solana, functions like this basically would just function exactly like regular transfers, but include that rule set check on all transactions. And a unique property of Solana is that there is a way to introspect the transaction while that instruction is executing. So during the transfer, you can look at the entire transaction, look at all accounts being referenced, and check against the allow list and deny list. Other important features to this beyond just a rule set are that rule sets need to be one-to-many, so that you can add one rule set to many NFTs, and this allows for reuse of rule sets without recreating unnecessary data. You can basically create one collection or many collections that adhere to the same rule set, and they can be extended as well. So essentially, that means that you can use a base rule set and extend that with whatever rules that you choose to add to your token. When we first started exploring this approach, ultimately, the concept of an allow list and deny list is something that feels encroaching on full ownership of the token, which is why it's important to distinguish this is different than a master edition token, for example, that cannot be messed with by any outside parties. In this case, those rules are baked into the token, and it's important to recognize that these tokens must adhere to these properties, and that allows for the creator to sort of view this as a blank canvas where they can sort of select the programs that they want to attach to their NFT to enhance its functionality. So obviously I'm going to talk about that vision a little bit.
So what is a protocol without a distribution layer? And fundamentally, the way that we've thought about this is, look, you as the creator now have the power to decide what programs your tokens get to interact with. If you extend off a base layer program that's managed by the community of allowed programs or blacklisted programs, then we fundamentally believe that via a dApp store, you as the creator, via a drag and drop UI, can now select or deselect the programs that you are interacting with from a collection perspective. So in this case, the dApp store extends some global rule set, and then you can simply drag and drop programs that you want your NFTs to interact with. So this truly brings power back to the creator. In this case, a very simple interaction of dragging and dropping the Cardinal staking platform over to the allow list and having all tokens then being staked via Cardinal staking is a very, very powerful concept. And we think this concept of a dApp store with its accompanying UI that anyone can build and compose on top of is very powerful. So with that said, likewise, there are many companies and products out there that are kind of building solutions to creator royalties. I don't think that we have the perfect solution, but we definitely have a seat at the table in figuring out what does the future of creator royalties look like. OpenSea, for example, recently released a solution themselves. If you guys saw on Twitter, Metaplex is talking about MIP-1, and here we are right now with Cardinal and our creator standard. And we'd love to hear feedback from the community on where you guys think this can go. What we as Solana community can get behind, rally around, and figure out together where the future of not just royalties, but also NFT utility as a whole can go. We're building the future of NFT utility, and we'd love to hear from you guys. Thanks so much.
Next up, we're going to be talking about different decentralized MEV solutions and really rethinking the way that we're tackling this problem. So let's give it up for Thalita from Chorus One.
Hi, good afternoon. Well, thank you all for being here. Thanks for your attention. Let's talk MEV. When I think about MEV, I can imagine two groups. Those who love it and hope for profit from it, and those who hate it and hope for its extinction. Truth is that MEV is real, we already know that, and we need to figure out an optimal way to handle it. We at Chorus1, we aim to contribute to the ecosystems we operate nodes for through research, especially around MEV. All our articles are publicly available on our website. And a nice example of it is also this Twitter bot that we recently launched that was built by Michael Moser, a researcher at Chorus1. It is currently live for Osmosis, the most liquid DEX on the Cosmos ecosystem. This bot basically makes daily posts on the amount of MEV extracted on this DEX. And why is MEV important? MEV can play a relevant role as a financial incentive for validators and stakers, making it much more attractive. The current plot shows an approximation of the number of SOL received per year for validators with 50,000 stake size. Validators receive transaction fees and a fraction of the inflation rewards. The rest of the inflation rewards are paid for stake owners. In the case of a validator with 50,000 SOL, in 1 year, and a minimum self-stake, so considering that the validator itself has only 100 of the stake and the rest is from delegators, it would receive 25 SOL in 1 year from transaction fees and around 250 from the commission, the inflation commission. But if you consider the cost of this validator only with transaction vote transactions, it could reach almost 200 SOL per year. Not even mentioning off-chain costs like personnel and hardware. And then we have MEV, not enough explored as a source of revenue for validators and stakers. MEV constitutes one of the major ways that value can be extracted from the Solana ecosystem. But the way that MEV is established on the Solana ecosystem, and even other ecosystems as well, there's no way, validators and stakers have no power to influence the way that this value is being extracted, and who could benefit from it. The current slide shows a public dashboard built by Umberto Natali, another researcher at Chorus1, that monitors the amount being extracted on the Solana ecosystem. So here you can see the bar chart. It is the amount extracted in arbitrage in the last 21 days, approximately. Around $332,000 were extracted this month. Most of it in October 11, when $150,000 were extracted in arbitrage during the Mango hack. And how much validators received from it? $264 only, around 8 basis points. We all know that MEV is well established on the Ethereum network through the rise of flashbots that allows for the block building marketplace. And other systems tend to replicate the same model when trying to minimize the negative externalities of MEV. And that's because it tends to protect users from high fees. That was the problem that Ethereum had because of the gas auctions, on-chain gas auctions. And it also allows for more advanced strategies, sophisticated strategies being developed by searchers. And it's also a competitive market. That's always good because it tends to bring the space forward. But we tend to think this model is not the most appropriate for Solana. Because it introduces the centralization risk, as mentioned before. It is a known fact that few searchers concentrate most of the extracted value. And it also brings censorship risks. Because of the layers that this structure needs, some additional layers in the blockchain, such as relayers and block builders. It is also a model that benefits from a higher latency, from higher block times, because you tend to optimize better if you have more time to reorder the transactions. The proceeds are taken only by searchers, as mentioned before, and it also not necessarily solves the problem with spams messages. And why is that? Because searchers bot still need to interact with on-chain programs through transactions. So it would not necessarily reduce the number of spam of bots trying to compete for the same opportunities. This plot, I think some people are already familiar with, but it is from later last week. It's the state of censorship in the Ethereum ecosystem now, since the most popular builder is an American company that has to comply with OFAC sanctions targeting Tornado Cash transactions. Basically, here in the plot, you can see 61%, it was the most recent number, 61% of the blocks already OFAC compliant. But this number is actually growing very fast. I checked it earlier today, and it's already 10% more than 70%. And if we talk about Solana, we all know that Solana is different. Solana does not have a mempool, and it is a high throughput system, so latency matters. With all this in mind, we'd like to share with you what we have been working on, we have been envisioning as a model that could be good for Solana. We want to build the Solana MEV client. That's a modified Solana client featuring built-in strategies capable of handling MEV opportunities right inside of the banking stage. The MEV client contains the searching part that looks for opportunities upon executing transactions. Important to mention that only very simpler opportunities, since we don't want to increase the complexity of the client. And how would that work? Basically, for each new transaction that the validator process, you can consider every green circle as a new transaction. The validator would check whether the transactions interact with any of the relevant programs, for example, Orca or Radium programs. And upon transaction execution, it would simulate the strategies that are built inside the client, looking for profitable opportunities. In case of arbitrage, for example, that's a very simple strategy to build. And then if it finds a profitable opportunity, it generates the MEV transactions and inserts it in the block. This approach tends to be efficient in Solana because when dealing with simpler strategies, as I said, like arbitrage, as it requires no reordering and would have virtually zero latency added. It also guarantees protections against front-running attacks, as sandwich attacks and etc. And why would this model add to Solana? Why could benefit the ecosystem? It would be extremely transparent, since all transactions being executed are known upfront. And permissionless, because you tend to you switch the need of building your own bot, having the expertise to build a bot, to securing the network, participating in the network. And it's also democratic because you can develop an. I believe that the community would come together to find best practices among MEV. And decentralized, since every validator could execute the client and take benefit of the opportunities that show up during their slot. It increases reliability of the system, since it tends to reduce the amount of spam transactions, as I explained before, since the most common opportunities would be taken by the validator, reducing the amount of outages in the network. And efficient block space, of course, since the number of failure transactions tend also to diminish. Community and user-driven. Why? Because for now, MEV tends to import the culture around traditional finance from HFT firms, where we actually don't know what's happening. It's very obscure. And we need to shift this for thinking about the user experience. The user needs to feel comfortable knowing what treatment would be executed in their transactions. And reward distribution, that's also a very common topic right now. With a well-designed model, we think it's important for not only searchers, but also validators, stakers, and with a well-designed model, perhaps even the users that generate the opportunities to participate in the rewards. And where we are now, we have built a prototype for arbitrage, that's the most simpler. And we also have a white paper of this model, of this concept, that we'll be releasing very soon. So if you want to keep update about this project, please follow us in our social networks. And it, of course, it requires an engineer effort for bringing a prototype into a production quality product. We would need to audit, of course, and think about the business model, because the most interesting case would be to have it as open source, but then how to fund the public good and onboard validators that are interested in running the client. If you want to hear more, actually, for me, it would be very important to hear all your feedbacks, the people that are already involved in the MEV space, and even the new ones that are here also. Please feel free to reach out to us and share your comments. It will be very important for us to know how relevant is what we are building. Thank you all. And I think we have time. If anyone has questions, I think we can try to answer. Okay, thank you.
Up next, we have a project that you might have heard of called Phantom. They have a really cool new feature that they just launched, and they're going to showcase it today. So let's give it up to Brian and Nick.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for coming today. My name is Brian Friel. I do developer relations at Phantom. With me is Nick Cruz. He's our lead Android engineer, and we want to show you a little something that Nick's been working on today that we think is really cool, called Mobile Wallet Adapter. So just quick show of hands, who in the audience has heard of SMS, the Solana mobile stack? Cool. So SMS, you hear it a lot with the Saga phone that's coming out. It's going to support Saga, but it's actually technically separate. There's 4 suites of technology in this, and one of them is this mobile wallet adapter. And this one's particularly cool because it's not just for Saga phones. So if you have an Android phone, which the vast majority of people in the world do today, with Phantom today, you can use mobile wallet adapter. This is really recent. It came out this week. So we got a little demo up, and I'm going to let Nick show what exactly this is.
Yeah, thanks for coming out. But yeah, I just want to show you guys, so I have this, this is actually a Saga phone right here. I have it hooked up, so it's kind of like mirroring what I'm doing on the, on my actual device here. But I wanted to show you guys how, so right now we have no apps, but let's say I wanted to connect to Orca. I saved a home screen favorite of the Orca, .so app, or website at least. And, normally in, before mobile wallet adapter, you would have no way to connect. So it would literally be impossible. But because Orca is on the latest wallet standard or wallet adapter, you can do connect right here. It'll open up the Phantom app, and then it'll have a connect button. So it'll connect, and then we'll go back to, I don't even need to show you guys, you can see right there. You'll see my current SOL balance, and then my public keys right there. So let's swap for some SOL out for some USDC. And then hopefully this cooperates with us. The demo goblins always get you. But yeah, maybe we could try a different app. Let me try Solend. So this is another app. This is actually a progressive web app. There's no bar anymore. I like saved it from Chrome. I already like signed in here earlier, but I can show you guys the sign in again. Same kind of deal. Let's try that again.
The demo gods strike again.
Yeah. But yeah, ideally like, oh, here we go. All right. Trying to pull up a swap quote from Orca here.
So while Nick does this, basically what MWA does that's really cool that you can't do is you can just open dApps in Google Chrome. Like someone's texts you a link, you click on it, your phone by default is going to open things in Chrome. Okay, I'll let you go, Nick.
Yeah. So there's a simulation. We'll hit approve. So this is actually a Seed Vault account. So I have to like type in a password to use Seed Vault. In a later iteration, one that consumers and everyone can actually buy for the Saga, you can just use your fingerprint. But I'm going to type in my very secure password. So we're actually in the secure enclave, so it's got like a weird UI. But we signed with the Seed Vault. Mobile wallet adapter sends back the signature, and then we completed a trade. So yeah, that's mobile wallet adapter. We can try it with some other dApps as well. But basically, I think I have Friction working. So we'll show that little demo. What's really cool about this is that
we lost screen real quick, Nick,
oh,
on
sorry.
this, I see.
Yeah, well, what's really cool about the integration is that this is actually a React Native app. So even though mobile wallet adapters and a lot of Kotlin and a lot of native, we use React Native bindings and native modules to bridge from TypeScript and JavaScript to the native Kotlin side. So let's do some, let's stake some, not stake actually, but do some, deposit some Sol. Let's do like 0.2. Get some covered call strategies going. Again, we'll do my Seed Vault. Nice, and now we're earning 27% yield with Friction, so, but yeah.
Yeah, so what Nick demoed here, this is on a Saga phone, so you get mobile wallet adapter, and then there's also that Seed Vault part that pops up. But because Saga phones aren't out yet, a lot of people don't have them, you can actually just use mobile wallet adapter today on a standard Android phone, and it just works in Google Chrome browser. It just like, it loads right in, really seamless experience. Basically, there's no more need for the in-wallet browser that a lot of people have headaches about, so we're really excited about this. Cool, and if you're a dApp, the big question we often get is like, okay, how do I get this to my users? It's super straightforward. Most of you probably know the Solana wallet adapter. Jordan Stexton leads that project. It's as simple as just updating to the latest version there. It already comes pre-included. So it's really awesome for that. Cool. Any questions from the audience? All right. Well, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Awesome. I hope you guys liked that demo from Phantom. Up next, we have Andy and Louie from Streamflow Finance. They have a protocol that does token vesting, token payroll, multi-sig, and a lot of different applications in terms of running your own business and companies. So let's give it up for the folks.
So yeah, we are Streamflow Finance. So my associate Louie, head of
Hey
product.
guys.
And I do business development with the company. We have been looking for ways to make it easier to send out value between whether it's investors, the team, community, making it so that way products can focus on their zone of genius and what they do best. Today we wanted to do a demo and walk through how, while this last year we've been crushing it in terms of token vesting contracts, over 30 partners in the ecosystem, we had struck $1 billion just before these crashes of TVL and are now floating in the multi-hundred million range. And what we're going to be showing today is a off-ramp solution. So people can now not only stream payments from wallet to wallet, but they can also take it direct to their bank account, starting off with US citizens, soon to be expanded out into the EU and beyond. Louis, take it away, my friend.
Feel free to narrate, but it's going to be quite short and sweet because it is a very simple solution. So I'm going to withdraw my money here. So first I have to sign. And here you can see, so like normally a user will go through KYC, but we don't want to bore you with that. So we're going to the good part. So here I'm already connected to my bank using Plaid. So here I can just put in, let's just put $1. And I have options for instant withdrawals, same day, or standard. And right now, while we're in the testing phase, we're having like no withdrawal fees, but that will change in the future. And you can see here the bank account that we're connected to. So you can have multiple bank accounts, and then you can just switch between them as you're withdrawing. And here I'm going to withdraw. And we hope the demo gods will be kind, and they are. So I'm approving. And withdrawal is successful, and we're also going to get an email confirmation of that. Let me just refresh. In case it takes a little longer for the email confirmation, here's an example of how it would look. So here you can see the withdrawal has been successfully processed. You can see the bank account it was withdrawn to. And actually, like that's the whole flow. So it's super simple. You can do it in literally like a minute. And this is a benefit for us because we're doing payroll progressively unlocked, which means you can have like streams going into your account all the time, basically. So once a day, for example, you can have your payroll going to you. So yeah, this is what we wanted to demo you today. First, we're starting in the US, but we're looking to add more integrations around the world so that sort of decentralized teams can be withdrawing around the world to their bank accounts, super easy, super fast, and with low fees.
Yeah, that's about it. What we're looking to do is make it as easy as possible to send value back and forth. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Any questions from the crowd? I believe we will offer a Q&A.
Question in the back.
Soon. So far, we're just starting with the US, but we will look to expand, and Europe would be a natural next step. Probably a bit less soon, but also hopefully soon.
But right now, we're looking at US first. This is launching as of, this week. And then it will be EU, UK, and then from there, we'll be expanding outwards. Another question over here. Yeah, great question. To repeat, he was asking if this only works with specific banks or pretty much any bank. The integration is built with Plaid, and they have integrations with virtually every bank that I guess,
the US.
Yeah, that an American would use. When we're looking at the EU partners, they have similar interfaces, and so when we expand outwards, we'll have to update it from there. But for US citizens, yeah, any bank, credit union, it's associated to the account. Canada, I have to make sure we get that on the list. It's a lot easier than Turkey, for example, so we'll have to check it out. Thank you, sir.
And most banks in the US are like instant withdrawals, but there's still some that are like on a bit older hardware that it takes a bit longer, but we're working with what we have.
Absolutely. Anybody else? Don't be shy. Awesome. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. All right, next up, we have Vibes from Sec3. Sec3 is an auditing platform built on Solana, and Vibes will be demonstrating their new automated vulnerability scanning tool. So let's give it up for Vibes.
Hello, everybody. Hope everybody's having a good time at Breakpoint.
So my name is Vibes, and I'm from Sec3, which stands for Secure Web 3. Today, I'm very happy to be sharing with you guys 2 demos of our automated security software. These are products that I'm confident will be useful for all developers on Solana, regardless of what type of project you're doing, whether it's NFT staking, DeFi, or gaming. So who is Sec3 and what do we do? We'd like to think of ourselves as a Solana native security research firm that was birthed out of conversations with Anatoly when our co-founders Chris, Jeff, and Nick was talking about how we can contribute to the Sol ecosystem. So security is the #1 priority in crypto because as we all know, transactions are final, and if there are any vulnerabilities within your system, the results could be catastrophic or worse, fatal. So that's why we try to take a holistic view on security by providing not only full-scope launch audits, as well as a set of automated scanning and monitoring tools called X-Ray and Watchtower to help developers secure their platforms. So why is automating security so important? Just check out this headline. Web3 projects have lost more than $2 billion in hacks in 2022 alone. The numbers are probably going to continue to rise, especially due to the current market conditions. I was just watching a talk yesterday which totaled the losses on Solana at around 500 million alone. That's a staggering huge number, which just highlights exactly how important security is. So even the most competent developer is human, and humans are inherently flawed and potentially could make mistakes. Tools and human experts are complementary, and we should do our best to implement tools into our processes. And this is the main reason we developed X-Ray, our smart contract SaaS system that scans for 50 known SVEs, as we like to call them, which are Solana vulnerability and exposures. So if you would like to check out the full comprehensive list of vulnerabilities, just Google Sec3 SVE. And this is also a good time for me to show you our blog post, which is full of very in-depth knowledge of information about developing on Solana and best security practices during the development process. So let's have a look at X-Ray in action. You can sign up for free at pro.sec3.dev. So after you've finished your self-serve registration process, you'll need to create a new project and connect your GitHub repo. If your repo is not open, that's OK. You can also zip up a file and upload it. For this demo, we'll be using a repository under Coral by the legendary Armani Ferrante, which are full of C-level attacks as examples of common exploits unique to the Solana programming model using the Anchor framework. So this is a great repo to use because it throws up a ton of alerts in the report. And if you click through into each one, it actually goes into detail on examples on how you can fix them. The scan is usually pretty quick, about 30 to 60 seconds for this particular repo. And on the top right, it shows you how many security credits it costs for this scan. So for the free version of our software, you'll have 10 scan credits every month, and it'll cover 10 out of the 50 known vulnerabilities. So don't worry about this scan in particular costing 35 credits. It's only because each vulnerability is separated out as individual smart contracts. So when the scan is complete, you'll be able to see an outline of your report on this interface. You'll also be able to download the SARIF report, which stands for Static Analysis Results Interchange Format. It's an industry standard format for the output of static analysis tools, as well as being able to download the PDF version of the report. Here you can see your contracts and whether or not they contain any vulnerabilities, the type of vulnerability it contains, their severity level, as well as exactly the line of code that the vulnerability is in. Clicking into detailed view will take you to the position in the GitHub repo. And for this particular example, the account is missing a signer check on line 16 and represents a critical vulnerability. So yeah, that's a pretty quick demo of how quick and easy it is to link up your GitHub repo to X-Ray and how little time it takes to add another layer of security to your project. I encourage you guys to sign up for free and check it out because if you're developing smart contracts on Solana, there really isn't a reason why you're not integrating X-Ray into your development process. We also offer GitHub continuous integration actions so that you can have X-Ray continuously scan as you integrate your code. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about post-deployment security. So is it possible to detect and stop attacks in real time? We think the answer to this is yes. Let's break down some commonalities of past attacks. Almost all attacks crafted one or more fake accounts, involved multiple transactions, and lasted minutes, sometimes even days. This tells us that there are specific parameters that we can monitor for that can alert project operators that something potentially nefarious or damaging is happening. So something that is specific to Solana programming model is that it decouples code and data, which actually leads to better security. In order for an attacker to launch an attack, they must do two steps: prepare the data and use the data to manipulate the program. This gives us an opportunity for detecting threats in step 1 and stop the attacks in step 2. So this is where Watchtower comes in. We monitor all on-chain activities and alert for abnormal transactions. This is powered by a monitoring engine that continuously learns transaction invariance. So what does that mean? It just means that the transaction is out of the ordinary and not an expected input. So under Watchtower, we call these monitoring system bots. So here's a list of bots that Watchtower currently supports. This is not an exhaustive list because we're currently in closed beta right now, and we're inviting developers and projects to work with us in helping define the types of interactions and invariants that you would like to look for. So we want to work closely with operators to help define interaction alerts that would be useful for them. Something I personally think isn't being talked about enough is when contract gets upgraded and there's no alerts for that, and the community doesn't really know what's happening. So that's something that Watchtower can monitor for. So let's have a quick look at what Watchtower looks like in action. So before we start adding new bots, we're actually going to go into the settings here so we can define the wallet or contract address that we would like to monitor. Here I've added an exchange wallet address, because there's a lot of transactions coming in and out. So from there, we can choose to add choose a new bot to add. You can see here that we have all kinds of different bots that we can add in order to monitor the different type of transactions that can occur between wallet address and contract address. It ranges from simple bots like abnormal SOL transfers all the way to flash loan type transactions or governance upgrades from realms. I'm going to do a simple one here for abnormal SOL transaction, setting the name, the target address, the severity, the notification email. But the most important part are always going to be the parameter. And for this particular bot, we're looking at the threshold. So maybe, for example, this particular address, we normally only see transaction sizes of between 0 to 100 SOL. So if we set the threshold to 110, the bot will alert us anytime there are transaction sizes that are more. And here we can see it running. We can click View Alerts, and if there's any transactions for this target address with SOL transfers that are over 110, we'll get an alert both here and in our email with links to the Explorer, so you can check those out. To close things out, I just want to say that there are no silver bullets for security in programming, especially in smart contracts. No tools or automation solution is ever going to be perfect. The tools are only going to be as good as time and the investment that you put into it. So I encourage you guys as developers to do more integrations, especially custom ones, that usually lead to better results. So once again, I'm Vibes from Sec 3. I appreciate you guys' time today, and feel free to reach out to me to talk about anything, whether it be security, NFT, or DeFi. I love testing out new products and learning about what you guys are doing. Thank you.
Awesome. Hope you guys enjoyed that presentation from Sec 3. Up next, we have Jay and Bill from Crypto Coders, and they'll be doing a demo on their social staking platform. So let's give it up for them.
Hey guys, how are we doing? I hope you're all well on the final day of Breakpoint. Today, we are essentially going to be showing you a live demonstration of what we call social staking. Now, the simple explanation of social staking is we want to engage people to interact with social platforms, and this demo will be on Twitter. We're rewarding their interaction with on-chain rewards, such as SBL tokens, NFTs, or anything else you can put on-chain. So Bill is going to take it away. He's going to connect up to Twitter. We're going to show you how it all works, and we're going to show you a little bit about the data we can capture behind the scenes. Cool.
Hi everyone. So this is currently my Twitter. As you see, I've got my DGod as my profile picture. So we've run social staking for bad cats, and this is what we'll be demoing today. First off, you need to connect your wallet via Cardinal. It's a well-known protocol. There's no security risks there, so that's why we chose them. So I'm just going to link my Twitter live, and hopefully everything works. So add, and let's verify. And it would work as if someone picked up the NFT on Magic Eden, so that should lead. So I've got the tweet up. Now copy across that URL so we can get the Cardinal NFT done. So here what we're doing is we're having the user link the wallet that owns the NFT to the Twitter account. So I'm going to be claiming my Twitter handle as an NFT, Cardinal stores the Twitter handle in the NFT metadata and then freezes the NFT so you can't transfer it. So that's now we have an on-chain link between the wallet and the Twitter account. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to the rep page here, and I'm just going to refresh it. Now that I've linked my identity, this should update, hopefully, if the demo gods are good. And as you can see, I've linked my Twitter picture, and it's currently checking it, and you can see my live one there. So that should come back shortly, and as you can see, it's red. I'm not currently repping for Bad Cats, a project. Now, the team here were nice enough to give me this NFT, so they're running an event, so I need to use it for social staking and show off my NFT. So I'm just going to download the picture, and I'm just going to replace the existing file here. So I save it, and this is what your average user would do. So we've designed it to be intuitive and easy for someone who's not a developer. Back over to Twitter, and just going to go to my profile, go here, and edit profile, update my profile picture to, there we go, to the bad cat, and that looks about right. Save it. So now I should be socially staking my NFT. Going back to the website here, if I refresh this, the caching here hasn't updated with my live picture, but you will see that it does say successfully repping. So it has recognized that the wallet that owns the bad cat is now also linked to the Twitter that's showing off this bad cat. In turn, we run this for the full collection, and we create a data log, which looks something like this on the back end. So you've got your wallet, you've got your Twitter handle, you've got the Twitter hash of the image. Next to it, you've got the NFT hash, you've got the similarity here, so you'll see this one is matching and the others aren't. And lastly, we check whether it's staked with Cardinal, so that's an optional thing. So projects are able to set what they want to reward with. In the case of Bad Cats, we rewarded all people that had successfully done this staking with the Bad Cats trait here that you'll see. So these were airdropped to anyone who'd successfully done the social staking. That's a demo, really short, really simple, and Jilly will take it away with the benefits that I brought. Yeah, 1 second.
Awesome, guys. I'll keep this nice and quick. So as you can see, Bill essentially connected his Twitter account to his wallet. And now that we can pull that data, we can reward everyone who has done the same. This platform will also take into consideration how many NFTs they hold. It can check anything else in their wallet, and we can also check the time they have staked as well. So the benefits are what we believe, well, we should say, are fairly straightforward. Reward people to utilize and share their NFT on their profile via Twitter, Discord, and very soon to be Instagram. Hit me up for next. Cool. No, that's fine there. Awesome. Now, as Bill mentioned, we implemented this for Bad Cats. So if you're in the NFT space, you probably would have seen this at some stage during our mint. Essentially, we set this up for Bad Cats. We had over 1,700 people use that app that you just saw. And as a result, we, for maybe 3 days, became the #1 profile on the NFT Twitter space, or on crypto Twitter, as they call it. So for that time frame, I've got some stats up on the board. We essentially had an increase of 300% of our reach, exposure, audience, and the amount of people using our profile picture. As a result, we essentially skyrocketed to the top 20, all the way from about the rank of about 200. So that's an example. Essentially, you can reward people on-chain for connecting to Twitter, Instagram, and so on. So we've had massive demand for this application, so if you do care about any of these social metrics, utilities, and it's another form of engagement, scan our link here. You can send me a message on Twitter or Telegram. I'll take care of all the comms. So if you are interested, we're known as Crypto Coders. There's a few of us in the audience. You can come find me, or you can hit me up online. Thank you very much. Thanks for your time. Have a great rest of the day.
All right, everyone. Appreciate your patience. Up next, we have David from Drift. Drift's a protocol that does, it's a DEX on Solana, but more of a centralized SEX implementation experience. And they're going to be showing their V2 product. So let's give it up for David.
So, we're Drift. My name is David. I'm one of the co-founders. And we're looking to bring the best of the centralized trading experience to decentralized exchanges. So who are we and what do we do? We're the leading derivatives DEX on Solana. We're number one on perpetuals. Previously, we hit 10 billion in total volume in under 6 months. And now we've just launched our V2 as of 2 days ago. So why DeFi derivatives? No, there've been a lot of problems with centralized exchanges, especially as of very recent. We've seen on a lot of social media the issues with FTX, other centralized platforms having issues with withdrawals. And this really comes down to you not owning your keys. You being very much at the mercy of the centralized platform who can really gatekeep how you use, withdraw, utilize your funds. And that's something that we're trying to solve by having self-custody, where you are the ones that are always in control over your funds effectively. And with this, I want to introduce you to our values and what we really stand for at Drift. First, transparency of trades. Everything is on-chain, everything is open source, and you are on the same playing field as everyone else. It's all public. The code is open source, so you can go into it and see what it does. There is no black box in the same way that centralized exchanges operate. You can see what goes on, and the information is shared across everyone, and the same. The third is decentralization of the agents. So in terms of how we run, it's not a single server. There are multiple keepers, validators that we have that make up the Drift protocol. And then finally, equitable access. There are no limitations for who can use the protocol, where they use it from. Anyone can access it. And that's something that we're very passionate about, is providing equal access to all users for these financial applications. So introducing V2. What is V2? It has 4 components to it: perpetual swaps, yield, borrow lend, and spot. And this is something that for us represents the full service decentralized exchange experience. We're not about having a simple feature or a simple product where there is a single line of functionality where it might just be borrows, it might just be perpetuals, it might just be options. We've put all this together and united this all under one umbrella, and that's what Drift V2 means. So I'll quickly play a short clip that walks through what the experience is like. I hope you guys enjoyed that. That gives you a snapshot of what V2 looks like. It's really a platform where you deposit your funds onto it and you get access to all the features and functionality that you would for a centralized exchange. So the ability to earn yields on your deposit, to trade perpetuals, borrow land, and also stake into LP pools. Oh, I'm gonna move on. So how are we different from other DEXs? I'm sure all of you in the audience here know that there are so many of these applications out there. There's mega markets, there's a lot of options platforms. So what makes us different and what is new in V2? Well, first I want to touch on capital efficiency. The core tenet for any exchange is liquidity. Without liquidity, the user experience suffers. And what I mean by that is you're paying more fees. And fees is really the bane of any exchange's existence. If the fees are too high, people are going to switch. So we pride ourselves on offering the best fees, the most capital efficient, by offering cross-collateral. So you could deposit SOL and still take positions in the same way that you would with USD without having to sell your Solana or any other underlying asset that you want to hold. The second is liquidity and pricing. We've built novel liquidity mechanisms that allow users to get the best feel on decentralized platforms. Previously, that's been a struggle with moving big volumes on chain with automated market makers, and we've devised a very clever mechanism, which I'll shortly walk through, that addresses this issue. And finally, UX. We are laser focused on the product and delivering what we believe the best centralized experience, but on a DEX. So what I wanted to introduce to the audience today is this liquidity trifecta. And we touched on it earlier around it providing the best liquidity for all users. But I'm sure you're wondering, how do we actually make this happen? So we've devised this mechanism that we term just-in-time liquidity. And the just-in-time liquidity auction involves a Dutch auction that is presented to market makers, where an order gets submitted to this series of market makers, and then all these market makers have 5 seconds to fill the order. And they're incentivized to fill the order because there are rebates attached to this. Now, 5 seconds here is very much an arbitrary figure. For larger sums in the realms of millions or tens of millions, this is something that we might set as having perhaps 20 seconds or even up to minutes, 10 minutes or so. But all these parameters are adjustable based on the size of the transaction. And what we're really trying to bring is to eliminate the slippage that would otherwise hit massive market orders that hit decentralized exchanges. We've had instances on some Solana protocols where there were big risks of liquidations, hundreds of millions of dollars that, if liquidated as a market order through the various dexes like Orca, Serum, would trigger a massive cascading of the price drop. And this is something that has prohibited big clips of money from entering the DeFi ecosystem because, frankly, it's very difficult to move anything more than $5 to $10 million. So how is it really possible for these big institutional players to come on board? And for us, the just-in-time liquidity mechanism is a unique feature that we've devised to bring these bigger players on board. And we've already completed 5 partnerships with leading market makers to underwrite our liquidity. So the question you naturally jump to is, what happens if there are no market makers? Market makers by no means are forced to act. They don't have to fill the order if they don't feel like it's something they want to take the risk or position of entering into. So the just-in-time liquidity is the first step in our liquidity network. The second is our AMM, or as we term it, the dynamic AMM, fills the order. It fills the order when there are no makers that fill the JIT, and as a result, it's what we deem the second layer to our liquidity mechanism. It allows orders to be filled against the exchange as the backstop to ensure that all orders have liquidity. And then finally, all of this is secured by a keeper network. And this keeper network, I want you to visualize as a series of validators. And I use this validator analogy because it's something that is readily understood across Solana. Instead of having a single server or a single point of order filling, which typically has been AWS, we are introducing a network of keepers that are effectively trying to decentralize that. Each keeper natively holds an order book locally. It allows then keepers to fill these orders essentially simultaneously. And what I mean by that is if one keeper or 2 keepers goes down, there are still networks of other keepers to fill the orders. So we can ensure that the exchange is always going to have uptime and is never going to be at the mercy of a single centralized platform such as AWS. And this is a network that is inherently very scalable, not just within Solana, but to other chains as well. So where I want to conclude today is this is something that has been live for 48 hours. I would encourage all of you to check this out. It's a platform that allows you to trade with size. We've already processed billions of dollars of volumes, which is very rare for a Solana platform, DeFi platform. And I think with V2, this takes the user experience really to the next level. You can trade with size, always get filled, and we believe we have the best user experience as we're really uniting all the functions of a centralized exchange on a decentralized platform. So this, if anyone in the audience wants to come up, feel free to raise your hands. We can do a live testing of the product. If not, no worries, but I see someone maybe wanting to step up. No, yes? That's all right. I'll quickly walk through what this looks like. I think picture tells 1,000 words. I've loaded up an account right now for what on our platform. So to quickly walk through it, we have an overview where I funded this 2.5 thousand, and across this you can essentially see your portfolio, the balance positions. I think what I want to touch on is 3 tabs at the top: trade, earn, and borrow. These are the functionalities that have launched as of today and are live right now. So trade, the experience is very much, you input an order, you can take a position size, and then you fill it, and off we go. So this is with my actual account, so hopefully we see a fill, which I will do. I believe the internet has gone down, so unfortunately we might not get a fill here. But also want to touch on borrow. So we have borrow lend product where you can deposit assets and yield on them. And then above that, I want to introduce you to this novel feature around sub-accounts, which is very much common in centralized platforms, but for DEXs, it hasn't since been developed. And sub-accounts allow you to essentially isolate risk. So what I want to show you is you can create separate sub-accounts within our platform, deposit funds into it, and then it should, oh, it's not showing up because my net's down, but it will show up as, I believe, a separate tab if I can get this internet working. So here you can see there's a main account, and I've enabled the second account coping. It allows you to essentially isolate risk and also manage different types of strategies, or even delegate strategies to other players that you want to run bots or whatnot. It's a novel function that I think has yet to be developed on DeFi Rails. So this is something that we're extremely excited to unveil. So I would like to share more, but unfortunately I think there's some technological limitations to getting this off. And I think I just will end on how to get involved with us. So we're still hiring very actively, smart contract engineers in particular. So hopefully for any engineers in the room, we're looking for people to help us build bots, to help us take the UI to the next level, and also just run simulations on the protocol. So at the end of the day, DeFi is still at super early stages of the development cycle. There's a lot that's yet to be proven out. There's still very much a drop in the ocean in terms of how much volume. Compared to centralized platforms, I believe we only represent 2% of the volume. And with that said, there's a lot of capacity. A year or 2 years ago, that amount was 0.2%. So there really is so much room to grow. So if this is something that you are passionate about, want to get involved in, please reach out. I'm going to be around after for a little bit, so do come and say hello. Again, thanks for listening, everyone. Appreciate the time.
Hey everyone, all right, next up we have Vanessa and Kevin. Vanessa's from Wallet Connect and Kevin's from Civic. Wallet Connect is a communication protocol for Web3 by enabling wallets and apps to securely connect and interact. And Civic's a protocol that uses personality and identity. And together they'll be doing a joint demo using Civic on top of Wallet. So take it away.
Thanks. Hi everybody.
Hey everyone.
So we're going to show how we've added the Wallet Connect connector as an option to connect to civic.me. So we're going to try a demo and hope the demo gods are good to us. Okay, so Vanessa is going to choose Wallet Connect as an option. So the cool thing about this is that, okay, I guess we can...
Oh, sign out.
Yeah, we sign out first, so we're not logged in. Let's make sure. Okay. Okay, so the cool thing is here, you don't need to have any wallet installed in your browser. So basically, your private keys are on your mobile device.
And so from the Civic app, we'll go ahead and scan the QR code.
This is not really Civic app. This is just a wallet that supports Wallet Connect, but yeah. Okay, cool. So we've logged into civic.me, and what can we do? Well, we can, first of all, mint this lovely breakpoint limited edition mint that we created along with Wallet Connect. And this is protected by, this mint is protected by Civic 3D selfie verification. So in order for Vanessa to get her NFT first of all, we approve the transaction, and it's going to ask us to do a 3D face selfie to prove that you're human and not a bot. So let's hope the light is kind to us here, but okay. So what's happening here in the background is okay, this is going to be, let's see if we can maybe, I don't know.
Okay.
This lovely blue lighting that's everywhere in Solana is not playing nice with us. Hey,
yes.
Third time lucky. Okay, so Vanessa has proved that she's not a bot, and now it's time for her to mint her NFT. So we approve the transaction. So you'll notice that this is all done, all the signing is done on the mobile device through Wallet Connect. So it means that you can do everything that you can do in civic.me without ever having a browser extension installed. So you could go to a remote computer, you could be, and your private keys are always on your own device. So we're minting our NFT, and once we've got it, we can show you how you can set your civic.me profile. Okay, great. So let's click on your civic.me profile. Okay, so we've got our beautiful Lisbon-inspired. Let's click on it. So we can now make this. So there's different options you can do. You can see here that there's different things. Actually, Alexis is going to show us the vaulting feature. But for now, we will change your profile. So let's make this beautiful tile our profile. We select this. Let's set maybe a profile name of, I don't know what you want to. Nice. Like it. Let's see if this. Okay, you're going to sign a message because we're encrypting the data. And we're actually adding this to your decentralized identifier. So this is all stored in a on-chain. Civic is not a custodian of this data. Wallet Connect has allowed us to do everything remotely through a remote device, and we now have our civic.me profile created and available. So anywhere you can see anywhere you use dialect and finesse connects with her wallet, she will now see, you can use this, she'll see her username and this profile picture.
This is fun. This is very easy.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very powerful, and we're going to be doing lots of more cool things in the future, I think, with this.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Thanks, Vanessa. Thanks, everyone.
Awesome. We actually have another presentation from Civic. This time it'll be from Alexis and Tyran. They're going to be going over how to protect your NFTs from hacks with non-custodial vaulting. So let's give it up for them.
Hi, everybody. We're with Civic, and we're going to be showing something that hopefully will blow your mind. We call it Civic Vault. And before we go into exactly what it is, we're going to talk about very shortly what problem it actually solves. So up until now, if you've gotten your private key stolen, that basically means that all of your assets have been stolen as well. Well, not anymore. Our solution to that is Civic Vault. Civic Vault is an on-chain wallet abstraction. Think about it as an account that is wrapped around a program, and that program controls and puts constraints on the type of transactions that that's through. So what does that actually mean? We have this little diagram before we dive into the demo. So you can transfer any asset you want, let's say NFTs, into this on-chain wallet abstraction, into your vault, but getting them out actually has additional constraints. And the constraints that we have placed right now on the Civic Vault is you have to do a 3D video selfie to prove that it's actually you as a human being that are gonna take that NFT out or any sort of asset, any token. This is one type of Civic Pass. For those of you that have done mints in the past, we have a different type of Civic Pass, which is just a simple CAPTCHA. We've protected hundreds of NFT mints and blocked millions of bots. This is just a different type. And the whole system is flexible. You could theoretically exchange the 3D video selfie with a CAPTCHA, which of course doesn't make sense in that scenario. But think about it almost as a multi-factor authentication for crypto. It's important to note, before we get into the demo again, that this Civic Vault that you're seeing here is in no way controlled by Civic. It's all on-chain. You keep control of the assets at all times. Yeah, I think now, Ty, you can take over with a video demonstration.
Yeah, we recorded this because we don't really trust the demo guards. So I'm just going to play the video and then talk through it and just explain the whole process. Kevin already demoed setting up the vault, so I'm not going to go into that because we don't have much time. But right now I've just opened up civic.me. Inside of Phantom, I'm going to connect my wallet, and I'm going to go to my profile. So now it's going to my profile, and you can see there, I've got a pretty cool NFT. And what's cool about that is I actually won that NFT here, which is awesome. So, and I've decided, no, it's too valuable to keep in my wallet in case I lose my private keys. I actually want to vault this NFT. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to go there and find that NFT, and I'm going to decide I'm going to vault it. And now, since I've already created my vault account, it automatically gets vaulted. So it's already checked that I've got a Civic Pass, set up my vault, and now it's automatically vaulted. But now I'm going to go through the process of actually unvaulting it. But I actually went to my settings here, and you can actually see I've set up another wallet to act as a recovery wallet, so in case I do lose my private keys, I can transfer the NFT into that account as well. So that's just as an example, so you guys can set up multiple wallets and link multiple wallets inside your Civic Me profile, which is awesome. So you can see there Phantom has said I've sent my OK Bear to the account, but now, and also you notice that it's got a vault icon next to it, which shows in your Civic Me profile that you've actually vaulted that specific NFT. And now I want to unvault that NFT. So what's going to happen here is I'm going to choose which wallet I actually want to transfer that NFT into. I'm just going to choose it to my primary wallet, which is my Civic profile set up here, but I could choose it to any other wallet that I've linked to. So if I've lost the private keys to this specific wallet, I could choose another wallet that I'd like to link it to. So now I'm going to make sure that the Civic Pass is valid. And the only way to make that valid is to prove that I'm Tyron, which is going to scan my face. The first time's going to fail, just as a heads up, and I'll show you why it will fail. So now it's scanning my face to make sure that I am who I am, and no one can impersonate me. And then it failed. And the reason it failed is because I didn't show my hat, because I've got an OK Bear hat as well. I'm kidding. No, just the lighting was bad. So at this point, it succeeds. And once it succeeds, the gateway pass has been refreshed, and I can actually transfer that NFT outside of my wallet, outside of that account into my main wallet. And at this point now, you'll see that it's transferring it out. You see there's no longer a lock icon there. And then I go into my profile, into my Phantom wallet. I just need to refresh a few times. There's me and Vinny and the other guys there. And then after I refresh a few times, you'll see that my OK Bear is there. So it's a cool way just to be able to protect your NFTs if you decide that you're might lose your private keys, and just an extra layer of security.
Yeah, thanks, Ty. I think it's super impressive, and especially it's non-custodial. So Civic does not control your NFTs at any time. You are fully in control. This is completely decentralized. But as maybe, I'm still sharing, yeah, some of you might correctly think is, okay, so this unlocking with a face is still based on Civic technology. What happens if Civic disappears? What happens if your face changes in some way or another and that part of the technology doesn't work? That's why when you actually set up your vault, it is a requirement to define a fail-safe key. A fail-safe key is on that spectrum of wallets, like the hopefully extreme edge of a hardware ledger that you then truly have somewhere extremely securely stored physically, but you only need it in the highly unlikely case that the face scanning doesn't work. But even if it doesn't work, you're still 100% in control. You're not dependent on Civic to actually get your NFTs or your assets out of your wallet. And a disclaimer that maybe we should have mentioned a bit earlier, this is an alpha development. So even though we trust it, especially Ty, putting in his valuable NFT in there, we call it out in the UI. You can try it out, but please don't try it with your most valuable NFT, since the on-chain programs are not audited yet. But yeah, as you saw, we feel quite confident around it. If you scan this QR code, it will take you to CivicMe, and you can actually try it out yourselves, including all of the other goodies that we have created for you in CivicMe. Feel free to reach out to us, and I think we also have to call out our friends at identity.com, which are providing quite a bit of the low-level technology, and we're using their libraries. So a shout out to them as well. That was it. Any questions? Oh, yeah, I'm getting a signal from Kevin that I should mention that if you go on CivicMe, which I can very quickly share, you will see this very nice button, which will take you to the mint that Kevin nicely presented. So you get one of these very beautiful Solana breakpoint specific NFTs in different colors. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Next up, we have Patty with Chain DNA. Chain DNA is a data as a service company enabling data on-chain data off-chain. So let's give it up for Patty.
Hello, hello, hello. Hello, everybody. This is Patty. I'm with Chain DNA. What we do is we provide data infrastructure as a service. We are an alternate approach for our traditional RPC indexer. So what can we do for you? We free up your team from running your RPC nodes, Postgres databases, Rust contract decoding, building up your ETL platforms. By eliminating all those things, we allow you to save money, time, the hassle that you have to go with your dev resources to build and run your Solana projects, right? That's what we try to, that's how we can help you with. So how are we different, and what can we do different from what you do today? You know, typically the teams that are building on Solana who need on-chain data off-chain, you know, you start off with setting up your RPC node, and then you start developing your ingestion logic. You know, you want to say, like, I want to track these 10,000 mint addresses, and then you start creating, as soon as, you know, you query the data from an RPC, the next thing you want to do is you have to store it on your side. So now you start building a database, you start hiring a data engineer to, you know, write queries and ETL platform, and then you have to decode your binary data, and if you don't know how to do it, then you need a Rust engineer to do that. And then you do like ETL transformations and schedule your jobs. So by the time your, you know, UI or your app engineer start building, using that data, it's already like 2 months, 3 months past, and you would have spent like significant amount of money as well. And what we do is we take all that data on to off-chain, and we put that into a data infrastructure like Postgres database or a Kafka topic, and we make it available to you for consume directly, right? So you sign up with us, we give you the JDBC connection information or like a topic and then you start consuming directly. Save a lot of time and money. So one of our clients who is using this app, they just launched their NFT collection, and they wanted to build a NFT portfolio app. So their requirement was to track thousands of wallets and hundreds of thousands of mints, and do profit and loss in near real time. So instead of them building all that on their end, they came to us. We helped them to launch the project in 4 to 6 weeks. And behind the scenes, we are tracking hundreds of thousands of mint addresses, wallet addresses. We aggregate them in near real time, and we provide them profit and loss, right? So it's teams like that, we enable them. Our second use case is a DeFi trader who wanted very, very low latency data and wanted to 100% of the Solana all transactions that happens. We stream the data through a Kafka topic, and the traders can now start building their algorithms and start consuming data directly. You can contact us through Telegram or Twitter. We do support multiple different databases like Postgres, MySQL, MongoDB, Bigtable, Kafka, Elasticsearch, any data infrastructure of your choice. We'll do a quick demo here. This is just a demo of there are multiple ways we can deliver the data. This is one of the ways we deliver the data. And okay, so here is all the trades for a given NFT address. And you see that this is how we store the data behind the scenes, and you get access to it in near real time. That's about it. Any questions? Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. Gaming has become such a big topic in Web3, and especially in Solana. Next up, we have George from Elixir Games. He'll be giving us a demo of his platform. Let's give it up for George.
Hello. Well, hi, everyone. Nice to meet you. I'm Jorge from Elixir Games. And today, I want to show you the future of Web3 gaming. So we are Elixir Games, and we are building the Steam of Web3. Okay, the idea is we're trying to break the wall between liking to play 5 to 10 games and having to create 10 different accounts, linking your wallet 10 times. Okay, so what we're trying to do is just logging in the platform with your Google account, Discord, Twitter, whatever, going into my account, and get to link your wallet, your Solana wallet, only once, okay? And you can go then to your library and click and play any game out there in Web3. Okay. Okay. This is the idea behind. Also, what we're introducing here is a new concept in Web3, which is skins instead of NFTs. So what we're trying to show the users is that Web3 is not that hard thing to learn. It's just it has gaming concepts already in it. For example, I go here to My Skins, click on Mastropoly, a nice game, mobile game for Web3. And I can here have my Solana Monkey Business skin, which I can just have a look at it. And when I get to play the game, the SDK that we provide in Elixir will fetch out the NFTs that I have in my wallet, and I will be able to play with them. Okay, I will now do a quick demo of how this works on the click and play. I think I have the game opened here for you guys. Okay, this is No Way Back, a game which we own the IP of in Elixir Games. It's like a blend between Fortnite and Naruto, as you can see by the Naruto run that we have inside the game. And I'm playing right now with my Solana Monkey Business skin. Okay, this is being fetched from my wallet as I have shown you in my library. and it is display my Solana monkey business skin, so I can play actually the game with my monkey. Okay, well, I know it looks a lot like Fortnite, but it's way better than Fortnite. You know, we have the Naruto run, okay, but we also have some Naruto active abilities, like, yeah, there you go, this one. Oh, it's hard to play in the trackpad. But yeah, so that's it, guys. This is how the future of Web3 gaming look like. You know, you haven't seen any DeFi protocols, any smart contracts, any wallet stuff. It's just easy for the users to understand and to play with NFTs without knowing anything about Web3. I think we are at Elixir Games, we think that this is the future of gaming in Web3. The concept of owning NFTs and owning skins and playing with them will look like this in the future. And this is what we are building, the proper ecosystem for gamers to have fun and enjoy in Web3. Okay, so, well, if you're building any game, if you're just a gamer, we are out there, we are Elixir Games, and you will be able to download the launcher in your laptop and play any game out there. Okay, well, so this is it from our side and Elixir Games, and thank you for listening.
All right, next up, we're gonna have Alice from SecUX. SecUX is a hardware wallet that provides cold storage solutions for Solana, including SPL tokens and NFTs. So let's give it up for Alice.
Hi, everyone. I'm Alice. I'm the marketing director for SecUX. SecUX is a blockchain security company, and just like a ledger, we provide cold storage solutions for your cryptos and your NFTs. So you must be wondering what is the difference between SecUX and Ledger, and here's what I'm going to introduce you to. But first, I'd like to run you through a brief history of SecUX. We were founded in 2018. We have been around for nearly 5 years. So as a security company, that is really important, that we're definitely here to stay, and we won't be leaving you guys with your assets hanging anytime soon. We have been developing products for cryptos and your seed phrase. And this year, we launched the world's first NFT-focused hardware wallet. It's the one and only cold wallet that can actually display NFTs. We have 20, 30 years experience in consumer electronics and IP security. Our team is from Qualcomm, Oracle, and we also have an office in Germany. So I'm about to show you our hardware wallet called SecUX Nifty. We have also recently just won several prestigious product design awards, including the European Product Design Award and the Golden Pin Design Award. So here it is. So our biggest feature, different from Ledger, is that we have a 2.8 large touchscreen. So in addition to having your private key saved offline in a storage that's never going to be connected to the internet, you can have your private key safe, secure anytime, anywhere. With the 2.8 large touchscreen, you can have a clear view signing. So whenever you need to sign a transaction, you can pull up the image of your NFT instead of just clicking buttons and verifying long letters and digits information. You can actually see the image clearly of which NFT that you are signing a smart contract to or sending them off to some other address. We also designed a companion app with the focus of a personalized gallery, where you can easily browse through your NFT collections and also manage your crypto in the same place in the same time. We support multi-chain. We support Ethereum, BNB chain, Polygon, and of course Solana. We support all Solana coins and SPL tokens and also Solana NFTs. With Wallet Connect, we can easily plug in your cold wallet and access all the marketplace and DeFi apps. And here's a video to show you the app that we have designed that goes along with the cold wallet. So we designed and manufacture everything in-house. So we have very flexible capabilities for design opportunities. So we can customize your cold wallet along with your NFT projects. We can customize the back casing and also the startup screen and also the packaging. So it will be ideal as a corporate gift or something to reward your NFT community. We also, in addition to the SecuX Nifty that we just launched this year, our hardware wallets have also been in place and sold to thousands of people. So again, with the security technology that we have in place with the SC secure element chip to store your private key, the large touchscreen also allows you to easily manage and browse through your portfolio. We also support more than 1,000 cryptocurrencies, including all the major ones like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana. So you can manage your portfolio easily, anytime, anywhere. We also have a crypto payment solution for merchants and customers to enjoy payment securely. And with the XC product that we have launched early this year, it is to secure your seed phrase, your recovery seed. So the stainless steel plates and the sliding storage system can allow you to have your seed phrase secured. And we also, with the product, we have also won a European Product Design Award. So, if anybody is around and want to see the hardware wallet, I have it here. So after this talk, feel free to come by and have a play with it. That's it. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, that's it for the community open mic for today. I'm really excited for all the projects that have been coming out, and thank you all for paying attention. We have happy hour starting right now upstairs on the rooftop. Go network, meet some people, and have fun. Thank you so much for paying attention and staying with us for the full 3 days of Breakpoint. We'll see you next year.